I'd be a fucking liar if I didn't say that I watched a video or two on Elf. Meeples, I love your Meeples! Yes, I watched videos, so I get like the premise of the game for the most part. And it looks like it's really short. Like there's only like one real like jump scare or whatever. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No? Yes? No? Yes? No? Yes? No? Oh, okay, cool. I said Elf that I watched a video or two on it. You told me to like look it up, so I looked it up. But I understand like the premise of the game. It's just that like it seems like there's only like one jump scare. Oh my god, man. Is this not full screen? Like what's happening? Excuse me? Oh, there we go. I don't like the way this looks. There you go. I feel like it's not like on the thing right. Warning, 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 jump scares. Okay. Oh my god. Why are you being so difficult? Well, it looks like all you do is just go make one run around and then she comes out and then that's it. Like that's all it is. Sounds kind of boring. It gets harder. I guess. Oh, hello. Mark Elf says that this game is hard and that it's scary. I'm a sucker with jump scares, though. I'm not even gonna lie. They always get me. Do you like my glasses? I got them for Pride. Are they cool? I fucking love them. You have to survive till like 7 a.m.? Oh, I didn't know that part. Am I really loud? See, maybe I should just sit back. What time is it? 11:02. Wait till 11:05 and then we'll start it. I have a feeling we're going to be playing another game. I should have downloaded another game after this. Just in case, like, my heart can't take this one, Elf. I know what happens, Elf. I watched a video on it. Thank you. I love my glasses. What one should I play after this one then, Elf? If I can't take it. Oh yeah, I know this one's gonna make me jump too. That I do not doubt. It just says like warning, warning, loud noises and jump scares. I have a feeling yes, it will probably make me jump, Elf. It's funny. All right, 3. Oh, what did you forget to tell me? Curse or nightmare? Can you guys hear it? I feel like it's low. Maybe I turned it down. Okay, yeah, I turned it down. Okay, so we're gonna have it at a good, because I don't want it to like blow my eardrums out or anything. Hello, please forgive me. I was in a hurry and couldn't wait for you to arrive. Thank you so much for taking the gig. A lot of people turn me down because they believe the place is haunted. Haha, can you believe that? Just scratch that out. They'll never see that. My grandpa is already asleep. He's a heavy sleeper, so he probably won't wake up during the night. But it's best for you to blah blah blah. But it's best to have you in there just in case he needs going to the bathroom or something. Please ignore all the mess in the house. It's our first day in there, and I spent most of the day setting up the lighting devices. There's no electricity. Luckily, I created these lighting devices a few months back. I set 4 devices up around the house, 2 on each floor. That should be enough for now. These devices can hold a charge up to 12 hours. I just recharged them, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. But please keep an eye on them, just in case, after all, it's still a prototype. How do I move it down? If for some reason one of the devices gives you an error, you can use the computer that I left in the kitchen counter to fix it. If you don't, the whole system might fail. There's something about this place that's making the devices a little unstable. Do it. Okay. Those are cats that you're hearing. Isn't it like click to... It's click, but I need to find out where to click. Yes, in here. I don't know. Is it in the house? Okay, thank you. We'll do it. Yeah, I don't like this. The way that this... Click it. Click it. A is fine. Oh, that was so loud. How do you... Tell me, Elf, tell me how to do it. Okay, there we go. Oh, you hold it out. Okay. Oh no, A is down. This way. What? About the curse? I'm already freaking out. I just am waiting for her to pop out because I know it's gonna happen. My cats are like going absolutely nuts behind me. I'm so scared. Oh my god. No. What's my safe zone? What do you mean? What safe zone? Like where the lights are on at? The lights are on at all of them. Oh my god! Shut up, Elf. What's happening? Oh, hey, what's up? Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. Did I do that? Okay, so A. Hemi, what are these noises I'm hearing? Yeah. It's like a Jack in the Box. That's what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like. It's like you're waiting for a Jack in the Box to like pop out. I hate it. I hate it so much. On top of that, you hear like scary noises and shit. Oh, what was that noise? See? Let me see. Oh yeah, it was this one. It was this one. It was this one. Stay alive? Well, I'm trying to stay alive, Elf. That's like the point of the game, is to stay alive, Elf. Oh, oh god, what's happening to A? Check it out. See those cranks? Hello. What cranks, Elf? I'm hearing noises, I'm hearing noises. The PC will tell you a safe zone. Where's the PC? Oh, yeah. How do I open it? It's like M, right? Or some shit. H. No. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop. Oh, C is upstairs. Oh no, this isn't me. Ah! Oh my god! Stop it! Stop it! No! Shut up! Fuck off. You said 7 in the morning? Are you kidding me? It's only like 9:15. No, I don't want this one. I don't want this one. Oh god. Oh god. Hurry. Hurry. Yeah, but I don't, hold on, wait, no! Jeez. I'm starting to make silly mistakes. Oh, what are those noises? Stop! No! Where's my... I couldn't find my safe zone. I hate it. Oh, the computer I was just messing with. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yes. Damn it, Elf. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I die a little inside too. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so this is the computer. Tells me my safe zone, you said, right? Oh, the little safe. Okay, so I see it. So it's like outside of D. So I assume it changes throughout the game. I would think so. Like, this is my safe zone, apparently. Do they change, like, throughout the fucking thing? Marble. Stop it. Sit bait. No, I don't. Now I'm, like, fucking everything up. Okay, so they don't change. That's cool. How do you know she's coming? No, she's not. It didn't flicker. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. That you can't move on your own, which makes it even worse. You're like, okay. It's not, you're like doing some job for this person where you have to like keep their like old grandpa alive. But like for some reason there's a storm and the power's going out, so he's like, crank these gens, and you're like, okay, that sounds like, yeah. Oh, by the way, house is haunted. You know, it's like, okay. Why does he breathe like that? Like, all the exercise he's doing. Oh, so my safe spot's probably changed. My safe spot's probably changed. Get down there, get down there, get down there. Oh yeah, that sigh. He's like, okay, so by A. Okay. No criminal record. She just disappeared. Okay, Broseph. So this is my safe area. No, I don't think so. Ew, I hate these noises that it makes. Well, nothing's flickering, is what I'm saying. By the time it started flickering, she was already, like, jacking me up. Like, what would I have done in the last scenario? If my safe zone was, like, right here. I would have been dead anyway. Oh, freaking heck. I don't like it when we go upstairs. This is not fun. Also resets your cranks, really? Oh, what are you doing? Oh. Come on, we cannot let Grandpa die, guys. Okay, so if I go downstairs right now, my safe spot is over at the thing when she comes out and tries to, like, fucking get me. Go check what? I don't want to check. That was no fair. There was no warning. It wasn't even flickering though. I didn't even see it flicker. Did it flicker? Did I miss it? Okay, so it's horrid. This game is horrid. Yes, I'm here, Robert. Again. It's like ever-ending hell we were in with Sophie. We could like random it up a little bit, you know? Should have wanted to see. Hemmy's being an asshole to Marble. Oh my god, he's so far behind and he just told me to just click continue and not restart it, and I've been restarting it every fucking time. Thanks for the pro tip, Elf. Oh my god, man. He's gonna respond to this in like 2 minutes, watch. shit always scares me. I hate it. Oh my gosh. Yes, okay, so she vanished. I hate the noises. Is this what we're gonna do all night, Elf? Jesus. What should we play now? Since that was just a lot of like jump scare. Freaking, you sent me that thing on Twitter, I remember. That's all it was, Elf, was just jump scares. That was it. It was like not even fun. You're like, play some scary games. Okay, so then we played that one, and it's just like literally jump scare and jump scare, jump scare. Oh, did you all hear that Kanye West is running for president? That's so funny. Okay, so where was it in the Twitter? Let me see. It should be in my notifications. Hold on, wait. Oh, where did you sent it to Twitter, but like how long ago? Was it like long ago? Not very long ago? Mentions? Did you mention me? Yes. I found it by myself. Thank you for your help. Alpha's still in the game. Linger. What the hell's this? Ew. What are we doing, y'all? Elf needs to refresh. Fucking Elf, dude. Cracks me up. The walking fish. What's Okay, so I've heard of that Madison. Something in the Shadows. Oh, Jesus. Is this one of those dark games? Oh, I've seen what's it called with this. Okay, we're playing this just because this is what I found. Is it full screen? No? Maybe so. Maybe so. There it goes. Why is my thing all jacked up? Is it like the wrong fucking resolution? Yep. Of course it would be. Of course. Oh wait, hold on. For scaling. No? Did that not work? Okay, here we go. Oh my god. Oh, I don't know. Probably. It's just a girl and her Red Bull and fucking Elf. Get out. Can you move in this one? Yes, you can. Give up. Can you open these? No? Yes? No? Walking fish? I saw that. Ew. It says very dark. Left click to interact. Okay. Open the door. If something chases after you in this game, like, I'm fucked because the controllers are whack. Behind you? Ew. Okay, just checking. You never fucking know. Okay. So where are the light switches in here? It says very dark and I do not like it. Oh god. I can't see shit. Okay. Okay. Oh, there is light switch. Use the front door. Yes, you need to refresh. God, Elf. What am I gonna do with you? Jesus. The door's locked. Other door is locked. Okay, so we going downstairs. Did I try that one? I just saw right now. Cat, what are you doing? Okay, yes, that is our bedroom. Going downstairs. Let's go. Oh, it's even darker down there. run in this fucking game? Is there a run? No, of course not. Why would there be a run? Of course. Oh, I thought I heard something. Okay. What is that? Is it a... What is it? Light bulb? No lights. Okay. So I got a light bulb. Oh, I didn't even see what that note said. Did anybody see what it said? It probably was like, learn to read notes when you're supposed to. So if that's a basement, I'm not going in it. Fuck everything you said. Okay, so this is the last room. This is where I die. Oh, flashlight part. I don't know, as soon as I grab it, everything's gonna turn off because that's what happens in scary games. A flashlight. I can use the bulb I found. Still need some batteries. I heard something unlock upstairs. I guess that's where we're going. This is like truthfully how I walk around my house sometimes. I just have every fucking light on. And then I walk through and I'm like, why are all the lights on in this motherfucker? Electric bill comes like $500. You're like, yeah, probably shouldn't have had all them damn lights on. Okay, so now we go to a different... Please don't jump out. So this last and final note. It is too late for you. Can you open the trunk? No? Is there any batteries anywhere? Anyone? Bueller? Look at the pictures. There's no pictures. Oh, you mean from like a long time ago? Oh. Oh God. Oh. What was that? I heard something. Yeah, I saw it. Okay. Well, what room is this? Oh, I didn't have access to... Am I hallucinating? Is that... Wait, is that my headphones rubbing against something, or is that like literally a growling sound coming from in there? Oh. Jesus, there's the batteries. As soon as I grab them, all the light's gonna go out. It's gonna be like, whoa, bitches. Okay, so I got all my pieces. Now what? What am I supposed to do? Check the bathroom. Oh, ooh. Ew. He's in all of them almost. Might find keys. Are you giving me hints on the sly, Elf? I didn't see any keys last time I went to the bathroom unless something's changed. Nope, I fucking hate it. There should be another bathroom. The one in my bedroom. Ew! No, I know that shadow wasn't there before because I actually looked at this picture and I didn't see shit, so they're trying to like fuck with me right now. There's no keys in this one, Alf, either. I literally tried to like look over. Oh my god, I'm such a nerd. Oh no. There's nothing in there, Alf. Well, yeah, all the rooms up here have unlocked, apparently, but it won't let me, like... And then this one unlocked. Unless I'm, like, missing something and just a complete fucking stupid ass, but there's nothing glowing. I wish you could run. Shadow guy. Oh, that one didn't, Do I not have, like, lights in here? Oh, yeah, I do. I do. Oh my god. How come I turn on? Okay. Jesus. So how come I can't turn that fucking... I hate it. Go downstairs into the basement? Nope. We've already made the agreement that we were not going to the basement in this game. It's still locked. That is kind of sick, though, if you think about it, like, having all your pictures and, like, just have some, like, random scary glow eyeball guy back there. Like, some random dude. Okay, so we're looking for keys. So I could not find any keys. Front door's open, let's go! This is Walking Simulator 2000. There's a note right there. How come I can't click this? Does it say? He's here? Ew. Oh, there's a key! Oh god. I knew it! I fucking knew it. So... This is exactly the position that I want to be in right now. So do I have to go to the basement then and fucking... Okay, so hold on, wait. Wait a second. I just need to, like, get a minute to, like... Ew! 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 I couldn't turn my light, like, when I looked at him for some reason. Is he still down here? No, he's gone. fuck no. What? No. That's unacceptable. Ew. Is that a camera? Is it like a porn camera? 8, 9, 10. What does that say? The key is in the bathroom. Now I gotta go all the way back up to the bathroom? Are you serious? So I'm like shitting bricks right now. It fucking sucks because I see eyeballs everywhere, but they're from the fucking painting. Oh, no. Fuck, no. Where was I going? The bathroom. Which bathroom, though? Dude, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh. No! 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 Hemi? Is he in there? Okay. Not in here. Hemi is literally bullying Simba right now. Please stop. Your mother is trying to concentrate. There is no key in any of these bathrooms, you liar. It would light up if there was something in there, and I didn't see anything light up. Oh. And then the other one just had the comb in it. See, there's no key. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. There is no key. They lied to me. Is there a bathroom downstairs? There wasn't, right? So we just like walk in circles then? Hold on, let me go down to the basement. Maybe I have the key or something and don't realize it. hate it so much. Just never walk in a house like this all the time, just in the dark. I especially hate going down here. I'm such an idiot. I could have saved us like 10 minutes of just walking around if I just click this stupid thing. Herp derp. This is why I don't play Games Live. Oh my god. Okay. I am a professional gamer, dude. So can he still come out now that... I'm pretty sure. Oh, there's another note. What does it say? Have I won the game? I got 10 out of 10 notes. Can I go outside the front door? Is he gonna get me? Professional failure. Yeah, that's what I'm known for. I can't leave yet. So... what do I do, Elf? Oh, my back. I feel like I'm missing something. I was just in the basement, so... oh. Oh. Okay. I guess I have to go downstairs then, because I've checked all up here unless I'm freaking blind and I'm missing it totally. Didn't work from the other way, but it worked from that way. Okay, cool. Super duper. That's marble coughing, by the way. If you hear that. Cough it up, Marble. Cough it up, Marble. Cough it up, Marble. I guess we go back into the basement because I've fucking been everywhere else. Hi, Queen Smoker. there's something I have to do in here again, I'm gonna be so fucking mad. Like, legit. No? I don't remember what happens next either. I never played this game before. Maybe I gotta turn all the lights on. Okay. I'm good. Elf had me play this damn game before this one, which was like just jump scares. Now I'm playing this one and I have absolutely no idea what to do. I'm just kind of like walking around with this flashlight. And there's like some scary shadow man in all the pictures. I guess we're going back upstairs. Again. Someone. I was gonna say, someone check and see how to beat this. Someone cheat for me before I cheat for myself. He's so freaky, dude. Or should I turn off all the lights? Like, what should I do specifically? Hold on, brosifs. Hold on. We're gonna cheat. So we're scumbags that way. What is this called? What is this game called? Oh, freaking heck. What is it called? Hold on. Oh, okay. Got it. Something in the shadows, Elf. Hold on a minute. We are absolutely not cheating right now. 100% not cheating. Excuse me, that's not accurate. Okay. My flashlight doesn't work. What are you talking about? Your flashlight works fine. Oh! No! What is this space noise? Ew! Get out! was it. That was it. The Mortuary's Assistant was really fun, by the way. There's one called Linger, but it's just like, I think it's just like this chick who follows you around, kind of fucking creepy. I love indie games. I think they're so freaking fun. Ugh. If I get a virus, it's from all the indie games. They've been pretty good, though. You know what game I have? Elf, I don't know how old you are, but like, do you remember a Nintendo Entertainment System? The regular Nintendo, and it had like the Nightmare on Elm Street Nintendo game, and then it also had like the Friday the 13th one. I got both of those. Download complete. Oh, Queen Spooky, do you like my glasses? I got them for Pride. They're rainbow. Aren't they beautiful? I love them. My husband hates these glasses. He also hates my really cool other glasses that I got. Oh, damn, it's just starting. Okay. So, what's going on? Okay, it's not letting me pick the game. What's going on? It always does this when I like swap out of one game to another. Are you coughing? Cough it up. Okay, it's capturing the right one. Why isn't it doing it? Oh my god, technical difficulties. It's full screen, right? Why are you being difficult? I hate streaming. For Scalina. Oh my god. There it goes. Jesus, y'all. Oh my god. Okay, so. Okay. Hey there. Thanks for staying at my apartment. I hope you enjoy your time here. Sadly, there's a really bad snowstorm going on outside. You'll have to stay locked in. But don't worry, it'll be fine. How about you familiarize yourself with the apartment? Go inside every room and also check out the living room, dining room table, and the kitchen. The place is wonderful. How very random for somebody to say, hey, go and check out all of my stuff. Open all of my drawers. Look in every single room. Nope, we're keeping all the lights on in this mofo. All of them. Oh my god! A vampire! Whoa. Whoa. Herbal essences. Sounds like your house. Oh. Damn, this is a nice house. Hello? I'm just like turning on everything, every bit of electronics. Large bookshelf. Seems like the apartment owner is a fan of old books. You don't say. Dude, I've always wanted a bathroom like this with like one of those big ass corner tubs. Sick. And just sit there and like soak. Swimming pool soak. This is most certainly not the washer and dryer I would have for this big ass fucking nice house. Oh, my back. I collect paintings like this, actually. Well, like, not like this, of just like this house, but like decrepit barn houses is like my aesthetic of my house. It's freaking awesome. Oh, what's happening? What's happening? Why are all the lights flickering on and off? Oh, Jesus. Maybe it's just a bug. Maybe, I don't know. Did I lose my, like, way? A village in the desert. Want some wine? Coffee machine. Ah! Oh. It's just like... Everything appears the same. Except I did not turn on the radio this time. Oop. The balcony door still fucked up. Oh, I guess it's just like the lighting mechanics that made it like... Can I turn it on? No? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. Oh, look, he's got a whole ass stereo over here.
Tribute is accessible. Who can save mankind? Thanks for joining us on this episode of Park.
You can hear like the snowstorm outside and shit. It's all loud. It's crazy.
The guide to bed and breakfasts.
Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
Tribute is accessible.
Bye. Oh, never mind.
Who can save
Disarmed.
mankind?
Ready to arm. Nope.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Park.
Like inside to me, you got walls and a roof.
What the fuck?
The guide to bed and breakfasts.
Just gonna walk in circles. Let's go.
Who can save mankind? Thanks for joining us on this episode of Park.
Like inside to me,
No.
you got walls and a roof.
Not scared. Little jumpy, yes, but not scared.
Bed and breakfasts.
Can you turn the TV on? We're gonna be wasting electricity. We might as well just go all out.
Bed and breakfasts. Tribute is accessible. Who can save mankind?
Made it. I don't know what the point of this game is. Oh. Oh, well. There's like a noise. Where is it coming from? It's like a rumbling noise. I don't know if it's like... It's kind of whack, right? We're gonna turn off all the lights and we're just gonna go for it. Because this is just like walking around. Where's the main kitchen light? You okay? Turn off lights. Now I want to leave these on for ambiance. Where's this light at? I'm gonna leave that on for ambiance. Turn this light off. It's using up all the electricity. This light off. Okay. How do you turn that light off? That one you can't turn off. Okay, so let's cheat on this one too. God, we're such losers. No, I didn't read any info on this game. I just picked it. It looks cool at the time. What day are we on? 3? Please tell me if something gets me. Please tell me if something gets me while we're cheating. This guy's frame rate is literally like 2. Oh, tell me what I'm supposed to do. I know. I'm just gonna turn everything on.
We attribute the success of it. Who can save mankind?
I wish you could run. How come you can't run in any of these games?
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Heartland.
Like inside me, you got walls and a roof.
Bookshelf. Yes, you said bookshelf last time.
We attribute the success of it.
A bunch of stuff. Towel.
Save mankind.
I've never seen this game either. I just picked it from the list because it was on the list.
Thanks for joining us
It
on
had like a
this
scary
episode
chick on it.
Like inside me, you got walls and a roof.
The Gun Bed and Breakfasts.
Oh my
The
god.
success of it.
Hmm. Oh, it's the fan. That's stupid. It literally sounds like a helicopter. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know where the jump scares are. Not every game has a jump scare. Elf. Check that newspaper. There is no newspaper. These are magazines. Oh. Turn off all the lights in the apartment and then head to the living room and turn on the TV, then stare at it to begin the process. This will only work if all the lights are turned off. The apartment must be pitch black. Don't be scared. Trust the process. No. What? Okay, phone's turned off. Oh, I freaking hate it. I hate it so much. It's gonna get so dark in here. What did it say? Stand in the living room and then stare at the TV with all the lights off? I think that's what it said. Look at. I am horrible at checking stuff. I'm very not like, what's the fucking word? Observant, I guess you could say. Or whatever. Okay, so... Ah! Ew! It's a girl from the ring! Stop it! Everybody, please! I hate it! Right now! Oh my god, it's a girl from the ring. I certainly don't want to be stalked by the girl from the ring. Ew! Oh my god, somebody literally walked in the bedroom. Is the phone in the other room? A friend will be calling in a couple of minutes. Okay. Alright, I'm coming. I'm coming. Fuck. Alright. Ew. Dang, how long am I supposed to be here in this house? Ew. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Am I like alive? I'm afraid. What's opening? My heart is like, there's something like literally walking in the hallway. There's 3 things that don't belong in this apartment. Search thoroughly and try turning them on. Oh, shit. 3 things. Okay, so there's 2 radios, 2 TVs. So 3 air conditions. You can't mess with them. I hate it so fucking much, dude. Can we turn on the lights, please? she gonna get me? Is she gonna get me? Oh my god, what do I do? Oh my god. Dude. The ring fucked me up. God, I'm like fucking freaking out. Oh, I hate it. Okay, so there's 3. Oh god. There's doors and shit opening everywhere. I can hear them. It's fucking with me. Touch it. Touch it! Is it the back TV? Oh my god. Well, that's exciting. You don't see something like that every day. No. Not today. 3 things that are in this apartment that don't belong, they said. So we need to remove them. I hear people walking. 3 things. And turn them on. And remove them. Can't interact with that. Oh, Jesus. No. Yeah. No, I don't like that noise, bro. And turn them on. That's what it said, right? Turn them on. 3 things that don't belong in this apartment. Search thoroughly and try turning them on. Oh. Okay. So. Oh, sinks. Can you turn them on? No? It's a horrible noise. What is this noise that's coming from there? It's on here. Where is it? It's out here. Oh god, what is this noise? Okay, so maybe it is the radios. Turn one radio on or off. then the other one turns on. Sounds like some Satan shit. I bet something will happen if I turn this back TV on. Oh god. No? Maybe not. I don't know what to do. Oh, what is that? The hell was that noise? Why was it awful? What am I supposed to do with this? What is it? It's a TV. Okay, so this is one of the things. Okay, so that's one of the things. Well, this is obviously one of the things too. No? I hate it so much. Now I'm all freaked out. Game got less scary. Oh, shut up, Elf. I think it's scary. What else is in here that's not supposed to be in here, though? Oh, I literally hear somebody, like, walking, and it sounds terrible. Oh, there's another one. It literally sounds like somebody's, like, throwing their body around. Did I already go in here? I'm terrified somebody's gonna walk out and be like, yo! Is that always there? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, there it is. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. Day 6. There's only 7 days in the fucking thing. Is everything gonna happen on the 7th day? Oh god, what is happening? At least all the lights are on. But I bet she's like walking out in the fucking hallway. She's been removed from her little like thing and is just like walking around the hallway now. Just free. Free as a bird. She did grab me through. She lingers. She doesn't like to be looked at for long. My eyes are somewhere in the house. Are you serious? I thought I was just watching the house. Now I have to be looking for people's eyeballs. Are you serious? floor. Ew! So now what? Is she just gonna Is she just gonna chase me around the fucking thing? Oh, so the TV's gone. That's fun. The TV is on the ground. That's what she climbed out of. So now what? Where is she? I forgot what I was supposed to do. Oh, look for eyeballs. 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 Ew! Ew! Stop. No. No. I don't think so. Oh, no. No, no. You walk so slow! Oh, she disappeared. Where did she go? Oh, there you are. Hooker. What if another one just like walked out? Oh, she disappears. I don't like that shit. I don't like it. Looking for this dude's eyeballs. Where are they? Oh, there's one! Ew, she's coming. Ew, I hate it! Eyeball. 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 Anybody? Anybody? Eyeball. Eyeball? Oh god, I fucking hate it so much. There's an eyeball! Oh my god. What is this game? Hello, my belle. No, there is no one home. Oh god, she's gonna eat me. She's just gonna run in and eat me. My bell. Ah! What's happening? Shit. I hate it. I hate it. Marble, please. Marble. Marble. We're just gonna go for it, bros. Oh, she disappeared. Yes, Marble. Ah! No! So is this what she does? Do I just have to like walk to her? I guess so. That's the ending of it. She's just gonna start crawling at me and be like, "Here, eat me." That was a long 7 days. we're going to start our OnlyFans. I am here to start OnlyFans with you. That was a cool game. I thought that was a cool game. So what should we do? Hello, my bad. What time is it? 12:42. What are we doing, Elf? I could go to bed. I don't know if I want to go to bed, though. I can't believe Kanye West is running for president. That's hilarious. I don't know. I didn't download any other games. Those are the only two that I downloaded. I don't know what I want to do, to be honest. I've only been live for like an hour and a half. Kanye West is a god. Don't you talk about Kanye West that way? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. We can tell some stories. Do you want to hear some stories? We'll just do like some creepy, like little stories. Let's do some stories. Let's find some short stories. I discovered the meaning of life. Let's read this story. Let's see what the meaning of life is. You ready, Elf? Let me see. No, this doesn't seem like it's a good story. I stole a laptop. The attic in the basement. We few are many. What happens when the stars go out? Don't Open the Door at Night? I've already read Don't Open the Door at Night. Damn, this one's long as fuck. Do you want a long story, Elf? Let's read a long story. This one's 21 minutes long. You ready? Okay. The red lights are only making the pain worse. It's an immense, earth-shattering pain in my midsection and in my head. I try to move, but I can't. I try to speak, but I can't do that either. It hurts too much, and my voice obeys me no more than do my joints or my muscles or my bones or my mind. And yet, still there's movement. I can feel myself being lifted up and placed on something. A bed, maybe, or no. A gurney. All right, one of the EMTs says, and several others then roll me onto the back of the ambulance and climb in behind me. But I'm already fading fast and feel an inexplicable heat by the time those doors are shut. One EMT, a blonde woman, shoots me a curious little look just as I'm slipping away and says aloud, wait, I think I know. We're made of that stuff, right? I turned around. There was a woman there, red-haired and about my age, give or take. She was alarmingly beautiful. Alarmingly beautiful. But how long had she been staring at the exhibit alongside me? I had no idea. I'm sorry? I said, you know we're made of that stuff, right? She nodded at the museum wall, which depicted in detail the births and the life cycle and the deaths of stars. I pursed my lips together. We're made of stars? Yep, isn't that awesome? She stepped up beside me and moved her arm across the diagram as she spoke. I just watched a documentary about it last night. Stars are just fusion factories held together by their own gravity. They start off fusing hydrogen to helium, and then they keep going on, fusing heavier and heavier elements until they're fusing the heaviest stuff, and then they exhaust their fuel and collapse under their own weight, and they blow off their outer layers and pretty much shower the galaxy with all these random elements, some of which are eventually used to create life. Huh? Yeah, I'm Robin, by the way. She extended her hand and I shook it. Hey, Brian, nice to meet you. There was an awkward pause before I said, all right, I got one for you. If you replace the sun with a black hole, what would happen? Depends on its mass. Nope. The answer is, drum roll please, nothing. I mean, everything would get dark and cold and we wouldn't fall in. Earth's orbit would remain entirely unaffected. If the black hole had the same mass as the sun? What? What you said would only be true if the black hole in question happened to have the same mass as the sun, which it wouldn't, because the sun isn't massive enough to collapse into a black hole. Oh, damn. Yep, me 1, you 0. Sorry, pal. All right, I said. You're on. Whoever gets the most points by closing buys drinks. She smiled at that and punched me in the shoulder, just light enough not to sing. All right, loser. Come on, the EMT says. There's a flurry of activity around me, and there are voices too, and blinding lights, and cooling down of that monstrous heat. One of the paramedics is looking me over, then he looks at another colleague, the blonde woman, and then shakes his head slowly. This one's gone, Rachel. But she continues running tests, running diagnostics, placing a soft hand on my arm in case I'm awake enough to appreciate the comfort. I am. Barely, but I'm fading fast, and the heat is coming right back on as I do. Not yet, he's not, she says. There's a pain in her voice that she does her fruitless best to conceal. I already lost one earlier, Todd. I'm not losing. Another one, Robin said. And I laughed and agreed that we rushed to the back of the line. See? Told you you'd like the Ferris wheels. Can't believe you've never been on one before today. She shrugged. Never thought they were as extreme as roller coasters, so I wasn't interested. Well, they're not supposed to be extreme. Ferris wheels are for all the parents waiting on their kids and sick people trying to relax their stomachs so they don't puke funnel cake all over the pavement. And adorable young couples, apparently. And just then we were waved into the next seat. We sat ourselves down, and moments later the great wheel began to groan and protest, finally to turn. I dragged our cart around its underside and then lifted it up to the top of its crest, where we could see the whole city at twilight, and the ships in the harbor that were backlit red with the setting sun, and the clouds that were lined up at the top with just a little bit of starlight. Robin snuggled up to me and put her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her waist. For a moment, then I could have sworn the empty seat in front of us moved on its own. I furrowed my brow, but then Robin spoke. "Thank you for being here with me," she said. I didn't respond with words. I just kissed her on the head and held her tight as the wheel began taking us. Down on the 1800th block of Gardensdale, one of the EMTs said, Yeah, another one, I know. Hell of a fucking night, isn't it? The conversation is muffled again in short order. I'm drifting in and out, but the jostling of the room and the sound of the engine tell me we're still in the ambulance. The other paramedics, for the part, continue running tests and checking my vitals as they work to try to remember what's happened. But it hurts, damn it hurts, almost as much as that rushing heat, and the effort is further disrupted when the ambulance bumps in the road and I nearly spill out the gurney. But Rachel puts her steadying hand on my chest and says, "Hang in there, Brian, we're almost there." Robin pointed to the interstate ramp, and I took the turn and put St. Thomas Vineyard away in the rear view. "I still can't believe Mason got married," I said. "He's only known that girl for what, a year? Less?" Robin shrugged. "They were in love. They hardly knew each other. They didn't know if whatever they were feeling was genuine, lifelong love, or a new relationship, googly eyes, that hasn't worn off yet. I guarantee it, and I'll put my money on this. They'll be done within a year. Just watch." "You don't know that," she said. There was a brief pause, and she added, "We've been dating for 2 years. So? So how far off do you think we are?" I shrugged. "I don't know. I haven't really thought about it." "You haven't thought about it at all?" "I mean, of course I've thought about it. I just don't know if we're ready, you know?" I looked over at her. She just stared out of the rain with her chin on her palms, so I continued. "Think about it like this. People prepare their whole lives for jobs, right? They start going to school as soon as they can talk, and they're not done until they get into their 20s. And it's also they can get a piece of the paper that says, 'Hey, hire my ass. I'm smart enough to work.' But marriage? Nobody trains for that shit. People just hook up and say, 'Hey, we're 25 or 28. You're cute. I'm cute. Let's spend $15,000 on a giant ceremony and live as glorified roommates for 5 years until we're both fat and hate each other and get divorced because neither one of us knew or cared about how much work this thing would require.'" There was a longer pause then, before she said, with a degree of seriousness I wasn't in the least bit prepared for, "Is that where you think we're headed? Glorified roommates?" Quickly, I calculated an avenue of retreat, but I calculated wrong. "No, not you." I said, "Not us. I mean, most people, you know. Most people just drive in and get divorced or stick it out until someone gets heart disease. The divorce rate, more than 50% in the U.S., but the 'I don't love you anymore' rate, shit, that's probably close to 90 by the time everyone hits middle age. I just want to make sure you're the right person, you know?" If ever there were words I wish I could have taken back, it were those 12. She said nothing, but I saw her reflection in the mirror. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. And the little tear that welled up in the corner of her eye said more than words ever could. "Listen, that came out wrong. I just meant, can you just drop me off in my car, please?" "I thought you wanted to come over. I don't feel very good. Please?" and we drove in silence for a while as long as the rain picked up its pace, fell in sheets and in torrents. After another 20 minutes, I made the turn onto my street and parked at the and once I did, she got out without as much of a glance and walked across the road to her own car. I ran to follow. Robin, wait. I grabbed her arm lightly and it was slick with rainwater. Talk to me, please. What do you want? I blinked. I want you to talk to me. No, I mean with us. Where do you want this to go? Where do I want this to go? I want to be with you. Listen, I didn't mean to imply that I don't want that. I just want us to be smart about it, you know? Well, maybe love isn't something that you can calculate on a fucking spreadsheet, Brian. She was shouting over this cacophony. Cacophony, what a fucking word. She was shouting over the cacophony of the storm. Maybe it's just this thing you feel, you know? And maybe it doesn't make any damn logical sense. Maybe it's not supposed to. But what part of it makes it special is that it's an adventure. It's a jump off a cliff with me type thing. And yeah, sure, not everyone survives the fall, I guess, but if you find the right person, then a jump off of a cliff with me type of adventure? Come on, Robin. We're not writing up a damn dating website profile here. This is real life. There are kids involved in finances and house buying and mortgages and all that shit. Not every day is some cute little romance comedy. This is half of your life we're talking about, 2/3 even. All I meant was that I wanted to be prepared for it to just... I thought we were prepared. Oh my god, what kind of scary freaking story is this? Like real life shit or what? Anyway, where was it? I thought we were prepared. What do you mean? She dug through her purse for a moment and then held up a ring that was brilliant even when it was covered in the rain. I felt my heart skip a beat at least. Is that, It was my mom, she said. She gave it to me before she died. She said, if you find your partner in crime, Robin, find somebody who will sweep you off your feet and jump off a cliff with you. There was a pause before she added. And at that time, she said, I thought I knew exactly who it was. I tried for a moment, but I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that there was no combination of words in the English language that could be strung together to write this ship. Goodbye, Brian. She kissed me on the cheek and rubbed the back of her hand down on it. And then she turned and got in her Civic and drove off until I couldn't see her tail lights through the pouring. Through the pouring of the rain's coming down hard, boys, another one of the EMTs said. Careful when you unload him. There was a grunt of acknowledgement and then the back of the ambulance. Oh my god, ambulance. The back of the ambulance flew open and the sound of the rainstorm utterly exploded into it. I felt a rush of wind and the pelting on my skin and sheets. And together they helped a bit with the oncoming heat that I still couldn't place. And then I felt movement. The gurney dipped and I hit the pavement while the paramedics held me down. And there were shouts and lights and running feet and then the hospital door. Open, I shouted. The man behind the counter shot me a look. Open? Open. Okay, yeah. Open? I shouted. The man behind the counter shot me a look, but I shouted it again. Over the sound of the rainfall through the glass, I said, are you open? And then he pointed at the sign saying the opposite and went back to reading. But I wasn't taking no for an answer. I dug at my wallet and pulled a 20 from the fold and slapped it flat against the glass. Within seconds, the paper was soaked with rainwater, but it got his attention, and he rolled his eyes, and the door clicked and a world slid open. Make it quick, man. I know I will. Thank you so much. I ran down the aisles, and then, true to my word, I made it back to the counter in less than a minute. The man put down his book and processed the sale. Date night, he said. As he bagged the cart over the flowers, I smiled a bit. Something like that. And then I thanked him and ran back to my car and got inside, and then took the card and scribbled its inner sleeve the words, jump off a cliff. With me, the doctor running alongside the cart mentioned to some nurses in the hall, and they ran to follow. He turned to the EMT. Is he stable? He's slipping. Heart rate's falling, breathing slowing, not good. Mumbled something about being too hot earlier, but if anything, his temperature's too low. Someone shows the doctor the chart. He reads it as he runs, and his face is grim. Shit. All right, he says. Let's move. I shouted out of the car I was passing. Just a little rain, assholes. But it wasn't. It was a lot of rain. Sheets and buckets and torrents of it, in fact. It long since been turned to dirt and mud and swept up against my windshield like ocean surf, and the road was slick with little rivers of it that ran down the past in pebbles. I was going far, far too fast to see the conditions. But I didn't care about that, the doctor said. I just want to get his fluids up, Rachel. The woman from the ambulance. I keep wanting to say ambulance. Oh my God. The woman from the ambulance runs up and discusses my condition in harsh whispers with the doctor. As I fade and as the damn heat floods on back in, it becomes impossible to hear what they're saying. But it's abundantly clear from the body language that she hasn't given up yet. Hasn't given up hope for a reunion with these guys. Well, Bolin and Snake say that they're against it entirely, so that doesn't bode well. But on the other hand, Sebastian said on multiple occasions that he's willing to do so for the fans. And look what happened with Guns N' Roses. A few years ago, nobody would have thought they'd be back together. I switched the radio off and then wrapped both hands around the wheel with such force that Knuckles turned white on the grip. The car hit 70 miles per hour, 75, 79. The windshield wipers were flying, but they weren't going fast enough. Fuck. I slammed my foot on the brakes, and the lights and the activity of the road came out of nowhere from the rain. The car jolted and shuddered and fought the traction with the pavement, and I felt the tires squeal and the metal of the car grind in protest. I don't care if he wants to protest, the doctor snaps back. You tell him to wait in the damn lobby like everybody else. Ugh, my voice is going. The nurse accepts her orders and heads back to the hallway. I'm sorry, sir, she says. You can't see him until what? That's my son in there. That's my son. And then there was a scuffle of feet and more shouts as a security guard drags my father from the wing. Rachel pauses and she hears the shouts, and then her eyes well up a bit with tears, and she looks at my face and appears to realize something, but she doesn't say what. The shouts continue, but they fade, and so do I, and in comes the heat as I do. That's my son, Dad says. That's my boy. Let me see my boy. Stop, please. Stop. The police officer had both hands up as I barreled towards him. Stop the car. Finally, there was a jolt and a shudder as the tires gained control at last, and the car slammed to a halt. Both the officer and I sighed in relief, and when I approached my window, tapped on the glass with his knuckle, I lowered it. I shouted over the rain, I'm sorry, sir. Roads are crazy out here. You okay? He ignored that question. I'm going to need you to sit here for a bit, okay? He just said, just until the accident's cleared up. Accident? It's bad. He nodded in the direction of the wreckage. And then he said again, just sit tight. We'll wave you over if there's an open lane. And then he ran off in the storm. I scanned the scene. There was a man on the side of the road I saw sitting on the pavement with a poncho for the rainfall on his head, and his head in his hands. His SUV was totaled. The front end was bent and twisted and hideously mangled. But the other car was in far, far worse shape than that. I squinted hard, and I could only make out panels of white amidst the charred black chunks of metal and the force of the rain, but it was enough. It was a Civic. Oh God, no, 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 no. I got out of the car and left the door hanging open with the rain, and then I ran forward at least until the officer caught sight of me and ran back over and grabbed me by the shoulders. Hey, I said, I told you to wait in the car. Robin, I shouted, Robin. And then I saw it, a fleeting glimpse of movement. A white sheet flipped on a gurney, a strand of red hair fell on the side and hung there as the EMTs carted away the body. Robin, I screamed, that's my girl, that's my girl. The officer was confused and stunned, but the only thing he could do was think to drag me back to my car. No, stop. I was inconsolable, but in no shape at all to resist. Stop, please, that's my girl. Let me see my girl, please. Stop. One of the EMTs, covered in blood from the waist up, turned to look at the spectacle, but then someone shouted her name. Rachel, the doctor shouted, you with us? Or what? Let's go. She blinks as she stares at me and then says, yeah, sorry, I just realized that this guy was... Just get the charcoal, please. We don't have enough time. And she does. She runs off to fetch exactly that, and I feel hideously invasive sensation, a tube just being placed in my nose, and then feeling of falling down into my throat. I'm too weak to gag, but I somehow manage to clench my fist. A nurse sees the movement and he holds me down to steady me. Whoa, 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 you okay, man? My roommate stumbled back as I threw open the door. I charged past him. You're coming in hot, he said again. You good, bro? But I ignored him. I went to the bathroom and leaned up against the sink for a long moment and grabbed my temples and set in my jaw and sobbed without a sound, aching, racking, heaving sobs. I heard a knock. Hey, man, he said. You good, dude? Anything I can, get for you? Or, oh, I'm fine, I managed. I wasn't convincing in the slightest, but I didn't care. I opened up my phone. There was a text from Robin there from this morning. It read, I love you. And they were all at once in the most beautiful, most painful words I'd ever read. I love you. I love you too. I'm coming. Hang on, baby, I'm coming. Then I blacked out and found my dad in the contacts list, and I typed, I love you, Dad. Moments later, I got a response. I love you too, son. You okay? But I ignored it, and then I threw open the cupboard and grabbed an old bottle of pills, a nurse said. Swallowed the whole damn thing. Luckily, his roommate called in when he did. But the doctor is incredulous. Well, that remains to be seen now, doesn't it? When he turned to the door, Rachel, and she pushed it open with her elbow before he finished. I got it, I'm here. All right, he says, fingers crossed. People, let's see if we can save a psycho. There are isolated chuckles. Rachel, though, almost snaps at her superior for the insult, but then someone says, here we go. And then there's thick, wretched black stuff funneling down the tube and into my throat, and almost desperate enough but not quite strong enough to resist it. I can feel it sliding and hitting bottom, pumping and pulsing. My heart rate is erratic. My breathing is erratic. My ability to comprehend the situation is every bit as erratic. I struggled as much as I could against the restraints, but all my effort, strength of arms mustered up not more than the faintest whimper. But Rachel hears it. She moves to my side, and she holds my head. It says, it's soft enough whisper that only I can hear. Don't follow her, Brian. Don't follow her. Please, Jesus, I need him here. I need this. But I began to fade all the same, one by one, as the spikes in the EKG slowed to sporadic pulses. I see the nurses turn each other and shake their heads, one by one, that is, until there's only a trembling Rachel there. She's holding me tight enough for everyone in the room to see. Call it, the doctor says, just as the darkness swirls in and I feel like I'm starting to fall away. The conversation carries as I pass. 2:32 a.m., one nurse says. But I can hear Rachel screaming in protest. No, he's not gone. There's still time. There's still time to save him. But she's wrong. I'm already gone. Her voice and her face, those things are behind me as I pass. They're fading away into the darkness that's consuming me and swallowing me whole and throwing me to the winds. And just when the magnitude of the situation dawns on me, then comes the heat. The monstrous amounts of it. It rips and tears and scorches and scalds, and I had the ability to scream out or to even breathe. I would have done so. My throat was so hoarse. But then there's a new pain, a different pain. My nose itches. How far do we have? Holy fuck. Where are we? A hand reaches out of the blackness and grabs my left side forearm with such mighty force that the resulting pain eclipses that of the heat, and the nails of that hand rip right through the flesh. And then I'm being pulled, and there's a rushing wind. It's cool and refreshing. It's cool and refreshing and beautiful, and suddenly I'm somewhere else entirely. I blinked. The darkness was gone, and the heat with it, and that sensation of being devoured. Instead, those things have been replaced with starlit clouds as far off as in every direction that the eye can see. But my arms stung like hell all the same. I looked at it. There was nail marks I saw. 4 deep cuts in the inner wrist and a 5th on the side in the shape of a hand. They bled a bit, and then I heard the all too familiar voice. You okay? I stood up slowly and I turned, holding my damn stinging arm while I did it. Instead of Robin? Robin, what was that? That darkness and the heat and the It's where you would have spent your eternity, Brian, had I not pulled you out. I had no words other than the weakest thanks. You know, she said, holding her own arm, suicide's not exactly what I meant by jumping off of a cliff. I blinked again, and it took a long, deep breath. Yeah, I guess I didn't think things through. Not sure you fully realize how much of an understatement that is. Well, maybe I don't, but, you know, I'll do it again, Robin. I'm serious. She nearly rolled her eyes, but I doubled down on that sentiment. What I said, out there on the street. I'm sorry. I mean it. I'm sorry. You're right. Love isn't about taxes or headaches or just tolerating each other until we're 70. It's like your mom said, it's about sweeping the girl off of her feet. It's about jumping over cliffs with someone and not knowing where you'll land and not caring as long as you're together. And if this is where we land, wherever this is, I'm okay with that. And I leaned for a kiss. But she stopped me with her hand before it landed, and I opened my eyes. I can tell you've been working on that speech for a while, she said. Over and over again in my head in the car until I got to the scene of the wreck. I looked at the ground and then I back up at her, and I realized right then that if you fucking left Earth itself, then I would too. So here I was wrong too. She cut me off. What do you mean? About love, I was wrong. My mother was wrong. This is not just about crap you see in rom-coms and greeting cards, Brian. Again, I blinked. I know that. I know it's something that you feel in your heart that defiles logic and reason, not something that you can put a spreadsheet like I said earlier. She sighed a bit and then said, Can I show you something? I guess, sure. And then she took my hand, and infinity rolled in and blacked out. Rolled in and back out, and then all of a sudden we were somewhere else entirely. Are we on the Ferris wheel? Yep. I did, and there you were, past Robin and past me on the seat above behind us. I remembered it like it was yesterday. We were staring at the whole city twilight, and the ships in the harbor that were backlit red with the setting sun, and the clouds that were lined up on their tops with just a little bit of starlight. I rustled in my seat a bit, and it moved, and past me saw it, and looked like he was about to speak, but before he did, past Robin said, Thank you for being here with me, and got a kiss on the head. What do you see? Robin says. Us. A year ago, and change. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Your mom had just died, so I took you here to get your mind off things. You did. And that was the first day in months I felt truly safe and truly at peace. That was love. I know it was, and I still love you just the same. It's a kind of love, she said, cutting me off again, and it's absolutely beautiful when it lasts. But can I show you something else? Yeah. She took my hand again, and infinity rolled in itself and out like the tide, and then we were somewhere else. The hospital, it looked like St. Joseph's. What do you see here? I looked around. Nurses running up and down the hallway, doctors reviewing notes and talking to their patients. I don't know, a hospital? She nodded in the direction of a particular room. Look in there. So I did. There was a woman on a cot. She was emaciated and hairless and deathly frail. The doctors inside were shutting off the last of the machines. A dying woman, I said. Looks like cancer. Yep, and what about these? I looked down and there was a nurse crouched down in front of the same door talking to a girl 8 or 9 years old. If I had to guess in silly voices, the girl had been crying, but the nurse managed to make her smile a bit, even as her mother died on the other side of the door. Looks like a nurse comforting a little girl. That's right, Robin said. And that little girl will remember that nurse for the rest of her life. Even if they never meet again, there's so much as exchange names. That lady who came to her in the darkest hour made her smile. She turned to me. That's love too. Just as beautiful and just as precious as what we had. What's your point? She didn't answer. She just stuck out her hand with a sad smile, and I took it. Infinity faded in and back out a third time, and then we were in the waiting room. See that? Robin pointed to the corner of the room, and I squinted. Oh, hey, what's Dylan doing here? He called the ambulance when you didn't come out of the bathroom, she said. He knew something was wrong, and when they drove you off, he followed them here. Been standing there ever since, asking for information on you from every nurse that walks by. He's starting to annoy them. I watched my roommate for a bit, and sure enough, he grabbed a nurse and asked her a question that I couldn't hear. She said something pleasantly dismissive, and he nodded, and then leaned his head up against the wall and closed his eyes. Wow, I had no idea he cared that much. That's love too, Brian. Would you do the same for him? But she held out her hand again before I could answer, and I took it. For a fourth time, Infinity blinked. And then I was in the emergency room looking down on myself. I was covered in vomit from the charcoal and the pills, but I was still too deathly still. Most of the nurses and the doctors were still walking in and out of the door. But Rachel wasn't. She was crying openly now and making no effort to hide it. She reached for something. A needle. It looked like a syringe. What is she doing? You'll see soon enough, Robin said. But that's also love. She held out her hand once again, and one more. I took it. And then we were at the parking lot of the same place. The rain was coming down harder than ever. Turn around, Robin said. And I did. And then I stopped. There were no words. It was my father in his car. He was holding up a Bible to his chest with both hands, and he was crying in a way that no child should ever have to see their father cry. And that there, Robin said, that's a kind of love that can move mountains. I put my hand up against his window. He didn't seem to notice. He can't see you, Brian, not from there. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. Okay, I said, I get it. I fucked up. And then she released my hand, and all of a sudden we were back in the clouds again under the stars. I wiped another tear before it fell, so now what? It's too late for me to go back down there. I guess I'm already gone. Robin took another step forward and said, maybe not. And she put her hand on her temple and her eyes rolled back. And then I saw it. Rachel and I on a beach. Our child is playing out on the surf, and the sun hits her hair just right, and the moment is made of gold. And then the image fades, and then another one takes its place. A birthday party. I have silver hair at my temples. Rachel does too, but it doesn't matter. Our little girl's turning 10. And then that image fades too, and is replaced by another, and another, and another, each one yielding another moment where someone loves someone else enough for it to break through the clouds and seen forever. And even in the moment itself lasted for a heartbeat. Finally, there's an image of Rachel and myself on a porch as old as we are, and she holds my hand. I'm glad you didn't follow her. And I say back, me too, and I kiss her on her head. And then Robin pulls back her hand, and there we are again, standing out in the clouds together. How did you do that? I asked. She shrugged. She shrugged. Time has nearly no meaning in this place. I've been here for a while, Brian, and yet the doctors haven't even left your operating room. But don't think too much about it. Just think about what you want. I'm glad you feel calm. My voice is going out. I nodded and she stepped forward, and I said, then go and get it. I'll miss you too damn much. Well, there's nothing wrong with missing someone, she said. That just means love lasted a little longer than when it ignited it. So go ahead and miss me. You owe me that much. Feel the loss. Stand up to the storm like a man and memorize the pain. And learn it inside and out. And let it roll over you in waves and run its course. And then one day, you'll wake up and realize you have scar tissue where your skin used to be. And you'll be stronger than your grief ever was. I can tell that you've been working on that speech for a while. Like I said, I've been here for a while. And then she kissed me one last kiss. One last time, and then for the briefest of moments, all the little scars and cuts, scrapes and nicks in my heart were filled up and made whole. And she said, you've made up of the stars, kid. Now go light up the world. And then she was gone. Rachel, okay? I'm not going to tell you again. But I shot up right before the doctor could even finish the thought, and I gasped for air when I did, and I grabbed at my chest with more strength than I had in hours. There was a needle in it, a bolt of life into the heart, and Rachel broke down in tears when she saw me. Well, I'll be damned, the doctor said. Welcome back to the land of the living, son. And Rachel? She turned around. Good work. Made me proud. And then he left and turned back to me and tried to hide the smile while she did. Hey there, how you feeling? Better than dead. There was a pause before I added, Hey, I'm glad you got your win. She took my hand and squeezed it. For a moment she paused when she saw a scar below the wrist, and that looked like a result of fingernails dragging through flesh. But then she dismissed it and said, I am too. And you'll get yours, okay? I promise you will. I said, I know. And with that, she got up and left the room to go save someone else's life. Well, I took out my phone and opened up the most recent text and hit reply. Am now. That's it. Like in the middle of like the story, I was like thinking, okay, what's gonna happen? And then I was like, well, I've already read half of it, and I was already starting to get like invested in the story, so I just kept reading it. But it wasn't scary at all. It was more like a sad pasta. I thought it was gonna be about space and aliens, and it was not about space. Oh, I did the one about my wives don't get along. A child like no other. Oh, there was a bug. Oh my god, what's happening with WordPress? Why are you being lame? Oh my god. Oh, my back popped. There's so much Jeff the Killer. I feel like every story was about Jeff the Killer back in the day. Creepypastas by length. Let's check out some short ones. Butcherface, The Remover. I feel like word 30, word 29. The hell? Cursed Sands. All of these have like part 1 and part 2. I'm not trying to read like super parts. They're having problems with this. The best creepypasta stories to give you nightmares forever, whatever this thing is called. Psychosis. Oh, creepypastas.com is down. It was good. It was long. The Jackal Slasher. The Fortnite Stalker. Let's go. It definitely starts out with, oh, thank you. That's my very first one. Woo! I've never had one of those. Damn, we need to celebrate you. Shout out to Kathleen Sanders for $2 because that's freaking awesome. So that's what it looks like. Nifty. Okay, let's read this one. Okay. It's called, I know that it might sound batshit crazy, but during a blackout at work, a coworker and I experienced something majorly bizarre. I have a feeling this one's gonna be good. Okay. It hadn't been long after arriving to work that evening that I first began to hear the far-off grumblings of a storm. Hold on, my voice is all... The tremors of thunder sounded like mumblings of a distant train, and because the metal shop that I worked in always louder than the rambunctious pits of Hades, and hot and an unpleasant place I often compared to my employment to, the fact that I could even hear the approaching storm over the loud machines was a warning to just how wicked the weather was about to get. Or should I say, how wicked that I hoped the weather would get. With a good solid thunderstorm, one filled with tons of shock and awe, there was always a chance that a stray bolt of lightning would strike just the right wire, or that a bad driver who lived on the other side of the edge would run his car into the right wooden pole and the power would cease to flow. There was a time in my youth when a loss of power while at work seemed to happen once or twice a week, maybe even more often, during an especially wild storm that season. But a restructured power grid and backup transformers made the act of goddamn near impossible. A miracle, one might say. Yet, as the evening storms grew closer, I began to clearly hear rain being dumped like a waterfall into the roof. Lightning started to illuminate the nearby windows like bright camera flashes, and the only mumbling thunder suddenly became a chain of clamorous explosions that shook the solid factory walls around me. I couldn't help but get my hopes up. And then, like the act of God that I had previously mentioned, everything went black. But from a few feet away, I swear I heard several of my coworkers hoot and holler in the sudden darkness, but I was too busy trying to adjust my senses to the new, blind man's reality. Even though it was an unwelcomed event, the unpenetratable veil that had been thrown over my face, it was momentarily throwing off my equilibrium. I almost felt like I had been time warped back to the colonial days, back when people did all of their work by light of the sun, because when the sun went down, people would retreat into their cabins to hide from whatever creeps or ghouls might be lurking into the darkness. From what I could tell, people's instinctual fear of the night hadn't really changed all that much over the previous centuries. That innate fear has fueled mankind to work long and hard in order to evolve ways to keep the darkness at bay. I've been unlucky enough to work the graveyard shift for nearly 10 years, and even I forget how totally black the true night can get when the electrical lights go out. Thankfully, for the modern men and women which I work beside, myself included, it was only a temporary inconvenience because after several seconds of darkness, the emergency lights kicked on. The emergency floodlights were like dim little spotlights placed sporadically throughout the building. They didn't do much more than keep a person from running into a wall or falling down a set of concrete steps. Following company protocol, I used the same dim floodlights by which to navigate my way towards the center of the facility, towards the area of the higher-ups that they had previously designated to be the zone of gathering during a blackout. Along the way, I ran several other shadowy forms, and together, while laughing and carrying on like school kids, we were eventually able to find our designated spot. After roll call was taken and everyone was accounted for, a handful of flashlights, ones that were just as battered and dim as the overhead floodlights, were randomly passed out among the workers. I couldn't help but feel somewhat special because when I struck out my hand, it was allowed to snatch up at least one. The flashlights on our cell phones would have been easier, less outdated, but we all would have had a way to see our way around. But company rules state that all cellular devices were to remain in our lockers while we were on the clock. What bullshit. I need to take a piss, I informed Dave, my wonderful supervisor. I could see the wheels begin to rotate, and after he took longer than I expected to make a choice, he eventually replied, "Fine, but don't go alone." And then he turned to the rest of the group and added, "Listen up, people. I don't want anyone doing anything alone. You hear me? I don't know how long the power will be out, so just sit tight and bear with me here. If you do need to use the restroom or get a drink of water or retrieve something from your locker first, let me know, and then use the buddy system. Also, make sure one of the two of you have a flashlight. I turned and pointed my dim beam of light into the person immediately to my left, Bethany. As the glowing orb fell on her freckled face, I asked, "Would you be my bathroom buddy?" I'm not sure if she turned her face away because she became bashful, or because of the piece of shit flashlight actually hurting her eyes. But with her face slightly turned away, she replied, "Lead the way, buddy." Once again, I couldn't help but feel slightly special. The manufacturing facility in which I worked was large and spread out enough to where there were 3 separate sets of restrooms. For obvious reasons, Bethany and I traveled to the groups of bathrooms that were my farthest away. As she walked, I could hear the thunderstorm bashing and clashing like a toddler throwing a tantrum. When we got closer to the east side of the facility, I noticed for some reason the floodlights in that area were not working. Our single flashlight became the only source of illumination. I consider myself to be somewhat of a rough and tough guy, but when Bethany and I entered the darkness of that area, I felt goosebumps break out along my arms and a cold chill fall down my spine. Because I was still the one holding the flashlight, and not because I was unexpectedly filled with nervous energy, I let Bethany walk out in front of me. We found the bathrooms pretty easily, even though I was kind of hard to see, and I watched curiously as Bethany's shadow spilled onto the floor of the men's restroom. "That one's for dudes, you know," I told her, when she seemed like she was about to go inside. Bethany turned back to me. Shades of light and dark covered her face like a strange mask, but I could clearly make out the smirk in her twisted lips. "You talk too much," she said. I was barely a foot away when she reached out and grabbed my hand. With a strength I hadn't expected her skinny arms to muster, she pulled me through the swinging door and into the men's bathroom. "Ooh, girl, go ahead." As we bumbled towards the long row of sinks, I meant to lay the flashlight gently onto the counter space, but instead sent the orb of light tumbling against the nearest drain. Picking Bethany's petite frame into the air, I placed her in a sitting position on the counter. "Lord, is this going where I think it's going?" "Oh, thanks. Yeah, definitely. If you want to relax, we'll listen to creepy sex stories." This seems like it's going on a sex story rant. Anyway, where was I? Oh, thank you also for the dono. That was freaking amazing because that's what it looks like. I'm glad to see what it looks like. Woo. Okay, let's go back. So he put her on the sink. I placed her in a sitting position on the counter. My tongue quickly found her mouth and my hands found her flesh. I immediately remembered how warm and soft Bethany was, and how much I enjoyed sinking into her freckled, covered skin. Whoa. But I instantly became self-conscious about the unlocked bathroom door. Instead of locking the bathroom door, however, I picked Bethany back up off the counter and carried her into the nearest stall. We squeezed into the tight place and somehow managed to close the door behind us. Once again, we were covered in a blanket of complete darkness. After dropping the toilet seat, I sat down and let her straddle me. It was gross and dirty in more ways than one. Bang! I nearly jumped back at the loud commotion, but Bethany's weight kept me seated. "It's only thunder," she insisted, before running her lips along my neck. It didn't sound like thunder, it was too close. I could still hear the storm outside, but it sounded much weaker than it had a few minutes before, as if it was dying off already or moving on. Bang! "What the fuck?" I cried, as the sound seemed to echo within the room. It sounded like it came from within the bathroom. Maybe someone was messing with the restroom door. I thought to myself, maybe someone was trying to fuck with us. Bang! "That isn't thunder," I told her. Bang! I no longer wanted to do what we were doing. I began to fidget in the dark and insisted that Bethany get off of me. The mood was gone, to be exact. It had been viciously murdered.
with our hormones dried up and the tight space suddenly became over-cramped and awkward, but we still managed to find our way out of the stall. Bethany was the first to exit the stall, and I followed behind cautiously. I scanned the bathroom to find it empty. My eyes quickly darted to the door. Closed. After snatching up the flashlight from the sink, I was about to turn and head for the door when I heard a strange rustling coming from above. Without thinking, I pointed the beam of light towards the ceiling. And that was when I saw her. A woman, dressed in all black. And as if in slow motion, she was falling down behind me. Instinctively, I jumped backwards out of the way and expected to hear a solid thud as the falling woman hit the tile. But there was no thud, because the woman never hit the floor. Tied around her neck was a thick piece of rope, and before she reached the ground, the noose tightened. The rope made a loud, solid sound when it came and hit the woman's falling weight. Bang! Behind me, Bethany shrieked. Somehow I managed to keep from screaming. With my flashlight, I tracked the rope and was shocked to see another on the other end wasn't tied to anything. The rope simply ran straight up to the woman's neck before somehow disappearing into the ceiling. Swiftly, I brought the flashlight back down and shone the beam of light across the woman's face. She was an older lady with white hair and a face covered in deep wrinkles. Her eyes were sunken and had dark circles around them. When she opened her mouth wide, she revealed a row of broken black teeth. And with her mouth gaping open, a banshee shrill scream escaped from her old woman lips. Her legs and her feet began to kick and punch the air as she howled in pain. From every corner of the restroom, I suddenly heard phantom voices speaking from unseen throats. The ghost voices began to chant in unison. Witch, witch, witch. Without warning, an unseen force pulled the rope and yanked the woman up into the ceiling. She disappeared from sight, and from what I felt like an eternity. I couldn't find the rational thought to move or even speak. Witch, witch, witch. And then out of nowhere, the woman was sent hurling back down. That time, though, when the woman reached the end of the rope, the sound of the noose pulling tight was almost deafening. Bang! As the noose violently grabbed hold, I watched in terror as the old woman's neck snapped. I could clearly hear their bones shatter. Witch, witch, witch. Finally, I was able to move, and I ran as fast as I could out of the restroom, Bethany on my heels. We never slowed a step until we had rejoined our coworkers. I know that Bethany and I had both seen the old woman hanging. I know we had both heard the phantom voices, but neither one of us spoke to the other about what happened that night. It was never mentioned. I wouldn't even know where to begin without sounding batshit crazy. And as far as I know, neither one of us told anyone else either. Let's just say I never partook in another restroom rendezvous with another coworker after that, no matter how warm her body was or how cute her freckles might be. I felt like it was going like a really good place, and then like just they kind of got lost. Like maybe they started writing it one night with like a perfect idea in their head, and then they finished it up the next night and it just completely got sidetracked, you know? Let's see. Deep web horror. How long is this one? It's kind of short, so I'll read it. Deep web horror. Let me start this off by saying that it's imperative that you stay off of the dark web. No matter what anyone tells you, no good can come from using it, and I'm about to tell you why. I was 15 at the time, and I'd come home from school on a Friday afternoon to relax, kick back, and enjoy the short break. I had started using code about a year prior, nothing too fancy, just basic Python, Java, HTTP, etc. I was practicing it daily. Now, I had known about the dark web before this took place. I would sometimes buy weed off of it, but that was the extent of it. This particular day, however, I decided to venture further and really take a look at the deep web. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with iceberg diagram representing the internet's connection. For those who don't know, the surface of the web contains about 10% of the internet's content, while the deep and the dark web take up the other 90%. I was ready to see what it held. I heard stories about what goes down on the deep web, murder, inhumane torture, but I didn't really believe that they were all legit, so I hopped on Tor and began to see what I could dig up. I started off by going to the hidden wiki and browsing through various websites, most of which contained illegal things such as drugs, hackers and hitmen for hire, and lots of other CP. I clicked on a random forum link which took about a minute to load. I wish I could remember the name of it. It was a forum where people could pick a topic they wanted to talk about, such as politics, dealing with mental health, etc. I noticed one of the topics was a pedo forum. Pedo, ooh, I shouldn't say that, we'll blank that out later. And I don't want to even go into detail of what I saw there. There was one particular one that caught my eye. The link was all in red, while the rest were in black, and it said, "Not for the weak, enter at your own risk." Curious as to what this was, I clicked on the link and it brought me to a forum that only had one link on the whole page. I clicked on the link and it brought me to a chat room. I realized that nobody was saying anything in it, only sending links. This sent off alarm bells in my head because I had an idea of what was going on in these links. I wish I'd listened to my gut feeling, which was telling me to close out while you still can. However, the ignorant, curious teen took over me and I started setting up some kind of protection for myself using the code I had learned. I later realized this amateur coding I did would not protect me from these advanced people with malicious intent. I clicked on a random link and a page loaded surprisingly fast. It looked like another chat room. I went to type hello or something, but it wouldn't let me. I sighed and began moving my mouse to go to the previous page when a noise went off. I had received a chat. The message said, "Hello, new user. I see you have found my site. Would you like to continue?" I tried typing again, but I couldn't. The next message sent chills down my back, and my hands are shaking just recalling it. It read, "No, son, not the keyboard." I tried turning off the computer, but of course nothing worked. Another message popped up saying, "I guess I'll take that as a no." The screen suddenly changed to and a video began playing. It was a black screen, but I could hear a deep male voice say, "Unfortunately for you, you do not have a choice." I grabbed a sticky note and put it over my webcam, and the voice on the screen said, "Ah, so we're playing games now, huh?" The video then began to change, and I realized the man was taking his hand off the camera. He was a short man, maybe 5'11", but that brought me no comfort. He held up a knife and said, "Name any body part." I then for the first time noticed a cloth in the inner corner of the room covering up something which I could only assume to be a body. I'd had enough. I unplugged my computer and lay on the floor panting for hours until I could finally get up. I now suffer from anxiety and won't touch a computer unless I have to. Okay. I don't know if there's really places like that on the deep web, to be quite honest. There could be. Who knows what's on parts of the web? Creepy night in a hotel. uh. I do like reaction videos to like scary stuff, like scary videos, but I don't know how that works like on YouTube. Like, can we just like watch somebody else's videos and do reactions to it? Like, is that how it works, or will I get like copyright strike? I don't know how that works. Let's see, what do we want to read now? Creepypasta.com. Creepypasta.com. By rating. Some of these creepypastas are like really dark. Oh yeah, so I'm just grabbing these from like creepypasta. I don't even know like where. Like this one was from Horror Stories. Hold on. The Headless Carpenter, Hospital Experience, Suicide Attempt, Agents in the Backrooms, Green Door. Where do people go when they die? I think I lost it. Okay, so I found this one on Deep Web Horror is on Horror Stories, r/horror stories. It's by R. Grace Sauce. Yeah, boy. The one before that was on creepypasta.com, was the long one about the death one. Let me see. Scary stories. Let's see. I have like a bunch of like authors that I have permission from to read stories. I have to go through my saved though. But some of them I kind of wanted to record, but I don't know. I did Night Delivery.
See, this one's a series about a parrot. I may record that one though, because that one's really long. And Elf wants long stories, apparently, because my 3-minute stories are too short. Okay, I'll read this one. I work at a receptionist at a hospital. A very strange woman. Okay, so this one I had asked for permission a long time ago to read. It is by Horror Mode. Horror Mode. I work as a receptionist at a hospital. A very strange woman walked in one night. If she asks you this one question, always say no. That's the title of this story. By Horror Mode. Boop. Okay. Ah, what a pleasant way to begin my 3 a.m. shift at Mercy Hospital. The first thing I did as I sat down was cut my finger. It was a paper cut, and despite working at one of the largest hospitals in the state, I couldn't find a single Band-Aid lying around. I sucked on my index finger like a vampire while I scrambled my desk for that Band-Aid. I found one, purple. I'm a hospital receptionist, and all that means is I greet visitors, make appointments, and look nice. Well, as nice as a 32-year-old man. As nice as a 30-year-old man who hasn't slept in hours can look. At night, as we call it, it's just me and a few nurses on the floor. Other than that, it was a ghost quiet except for the heavy, heavy rain. I sat back on the cheap recliner chair all receptionists get the honor of using, while adjusting my Band-Aid and listening to the television mounted on the corner of the wall as it broadcasted a seemingly important message. Authorities say the woman was last seen on Cedar Avenue. I looked up to see the television was showing images of this woman. None. It was just another crazy person with no name and no face who we're supposed to look out for. Not creepy at all. Authorities also say the woman was reportedly walking around and asking people very, very bizarre questions. Hi, Kitty. Oh my God, I love you. Questions. Okay. I focused back on my desk and continued working, but still listened as the news anchor went on and on. She continued. The following statement was issued by an unidentified government official. Listen carefully, folks. Whatever she asks you, the answer is no. Do not under any circumstances answer yes. Officials won't comment further as to why, citing security clearance. People are asking that you immediately call 911 if you deem anyone suspicious. I thought that part of the coverage was quite odd, but I wasn't sure anything could scare me anymore. Working here at the hospital, I thought I had seen it all. At the flash of a ruby red ambulance lights, I've seen people come in with severed arms, legs, fingers. People who've somehow managed to scoop out their eyeballs. Failed suicide attempts, and much, much more. You get used to it. My head was practically sunk into my desk as I filled out paperwork. That's when I heard something very subtle. Initially, I heard it coming from the front doors, the entrance. The automatic doors opened and closed, slamming against each other and sounding an obnoxiously loud thud each time. The very dim lighting had surrounded my desk and it flickered insistently. Hello? I called out, seated behind the safety of my desk. Only the whistling wind responded. Hello? I called out again. I felt obligated to check and see if someone was there, especially since it might have been someone who was injured and needed our attention. I reluctantly picked myself up from the chair and walked over to inspect. I nearly slipped and cracked my head open as the entrance floor was almost flooded from the rain. I noticed footsteps, wet shoe marks that seemed to come inside of the hospital and then back out. I stood near the doors, poking my head outside, and I looked.
All I heard were the distant sounds of sirens and honking cars. The rain poured harder. The peace and quiet was disturbed within moments of me sitting back down. The automatic doors started again, opening and closing, slamming shut and letting in more rain as they did. But this time, I heard gentle footsteps make their way towards me, tapping closer and closer. Someone slowly emerged from the darkness between the entrance and the front desk. A woman with drenched black hair approached, wearing a dark brown raincoat and a pair of boots that were too large for her toothpick legs. Her face was inundated with wrinkles and wet makeup, her black eyeshadow smudged. Despite the heavy rain outside, she didn't seem to have bothered wearing her hoodie. "Hello? How can I help you, ma'am?" She didn't respond. She looked around, scanning and observing the unimpressive hospital. "Is there something I can help you with?" Still nothing. We engaged in a brief stare down, which she won. I looked down and pretended to gather important paperwork. "Are you here to visit someone?" Then finally she responded. Without talking, she simply nodded and then took a few steps forward, her hands hanging down at her side. Her posture was unnatural, almost uncomfortable. "Okay, for now I need you to sign here. Then you'll have to wait a few hours for visiting time to begin," I said, pushing forward a sheet of paper and a pen. She raised her arm to sign and then abruptly stopped. She seemed startled by something on the desk. She looked at me, tilted her head, and with a smile that was wide as her eyes said, "Would you please move that for me?" I was confused at first, and then she pointed at it with her index finger as drops of rainwater tapped against my desk while her arm hovered over it. I took the little crucifix we had on the front desk and put it in a drawer. The woman proceeded as if she was going to finally sign the paperwork and stopped before writing anything. She dropped the pen on the ground and stood there staring at me. She asked me a question. "Do you reject the Trinity?" "I'm sorry?" I replied. For a few more uncomfortable moments, the woman stood there like an ancient statue. I had no idea what she meant by this question. "Ma'am, who exactly are you here to see? Family? Friend? What's your relationship to the patient?" Before I could finish talking, midway through my question, the woman turned around and walked out of the door, still smiling and her eyes as wide as I had seen on a person. I went back to work and tried to move on, but her creepy mannerisms were trapped in my mind throughout the night. At around 4 a.m., I spotted one of the children in our hospital walking down the hallway. "Nina, is that you?" I called out. All the kids in the hospital knew me. I was proudly considered one of the cooler employees. I let them break the rules. I brought them snacks upstairs. I even told them scary stories, despite their predictable regret later on. The nurses would get angry with me every time I held one of my scary story nights. They always had a bunch of bed sheets to change the next morning. I only did these things for the kids when I wasn't busy, when it was a quiet night, and this was one of those uneventful nights, which of course is a good thing. Anyway, it was very odd to see Nina awake at this time, walking down those shadowy halls. She was absolutely terrified of the dark, and yet here she was. "Nina, is that you?" I squinted my eyes as I walked towards her. "Sorry, Matt," she began. "I don't want to be there anymore." She had dragged her blue blanket across with her, which was her way of gesturing to the staff that she wanted to move to another room. "The other kids bothering you again?" I asked. I took hold of her hand and began to walk her back to the elevator. "Matt, please don't make me go back there. I don't like the new nurse." I stopped walking. "What?" I said, kneeling to Nina's level. "She keeps asking us the same question over and over. I said no so many times.
I kept telling her no, but everyone else kept laughing with her and saying yes to her. Please, I don't want to go back up there. That was my voice crack. That wasn't for dramatic effect, by the way. Nina's words immediately played flashbacks inside my tired, overworked mind. Something about a strange woman going around and asking even stranger questions. I didn't pay enough attention to that broadcast to notice the woman, but even if I had, I thought she had left the hospital. I ditched the elevator and ran up the flight of daunting stairs, stomping against each step with a force I could muster, not mustard. I probably woke up all these employees. I was so loud. I opened the door to the children's room and couldn't believe my eyes. I checked each room, each one on each floor. I woke up my coworker and asked about the children. She couldn't find them either. We looked everywhere and put the hospital on lockdown. We set off all possible alarms and all the emergency procedures. We didn't find them. They just disappeared. People are saying in the comments of this story that it was a Baba Yaga, which is, I want to say, it's the Russian, right? Baby snatcher. The Baba Yaga. Hold on. It's Slavic. In Slavic folklore, the Baba Yaga is a supernatural being or a trio of sisters of the same name who appeared as a deformed or ferocious-looking old woman. In Russian folklore, Baba Yaga flies around in a motor, wields a pestle, and dwells deep in the forest in a hut usually described as standing on chicken legs. Baba Yaga may help or hinder those that encounter her or seek her out. She may play a maternal role and has associations with forest wildlife. According to Vladimir Prop's folktale mythology, Baba Yaga commonly appears as the donor, villain, or may altogether be ambiguous. Her depictions vary greatly across tales, ranging from a child-eating monster. Child-eating monster, ghost person. The child-eating monster, maybe. I've seen like the first Sinister. I haven't seen the other Sinisters. For those who've just joined, we are doing unintentional ASMR scary story reading. Try to put everybody to sleep, I guess. La 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 la. Okay, let's read this one. This one's called The TikTok Man by Feed the Pig. And I think this may be my last one. It's long though. It's long, so this will be my last long one. It's been 5 years now. 5 confusing, hard years. You can't comprehend what I've had to go through. There's no way you'll ever know what I've been forced to surrender. You can't fathom how many things I've had to relearn, and there are still so many questions that absolutely terrify me. But I'm rambling. I told myself if I was going to sit down and record everything that happened, I suppose I should start from the beginning. Christ, I don't even know where the beginning is anymore. The watch. It started with the watch. I bought it at a flea market on the day that I was going to meet Megan for the first time. I had a date with her that night, a blind date, something one of our mutual friends had set up. But the watch, that fucking watch, some kid was selling it at a table, along with dozens of others. They were all different, but I remember that specific one immediately caught my eye. It was made of some kind of black stone,
the polished ebony band coiling around my wrist as I tied it on. It was breathtaking. It was a one-of-a-kind piece. The face was colored red in the center, and it faded to black along the edges. The hands were colored in swirls of matching shades. The round face was encircled with beautiful shining stone, that same inky black practically glowing as I inspected it. It was heavy on my wrist, and I remember liking that. The kid, that fucking kid. He was watching me carefully the whole time with this glint in his eye. He knew. Of course he knew. I know that now. He told me that I could have it for $5. The price was unbeatable, and he could tell that I had fallen in love with it. I didn't hesitate, purchasing it as quickly as I could pull out my wallet. I was quickly about to how I was thinking about how it would impress my blind date. The kid snatched the $5 bill from my hand and started packing up his table. I didn't think anything of it, but as I turned to go, he called out to me. I turned around, expecting him to ask for more money. Instead, he had a torn look on his face. Finally, he spoke. Listen, that watch has an alarm on it. If it goes off randomly, it's important you turn the alarm off before it beeps 3 times. Just trust me, okay? I remember being confused, and rightfully so, I suppose. I asked the kid what would happen if I let the watch beep 3 times. His eyes filled with darkness. If it beeps 3 times, he comes. Who? The kid leaned towards me and whispered, his voice hoarse. The TikTok man. I think I said something rude after this reveal, brushing off the warning as some kind of immature superstition. He was just a kid, probably 10 or 12, with fears he hadn't worked out yet. I think he made me promise to remember what he said before I left. Obviously, if I had actually listened to him, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't be telling you all of this. I wouldn't have met the TikTok man. I drummed my fingers on the bar, checking the time on my brand new watch. This Megan girl was late. Not a good sign. I was fighting with my nerves and trying to come up with icebreakers so the date wouldn't fall into uncomfortable silence at any point. It was something I did for most dates, preparing a mental list of questions in case the conversation faltered. I looked around the bar, pleased with the place I had chosen to meet. It was an intimate location, the brick walls giving a cozy feel, and the candles on the table steamed the atmosphere. The interior had a high energy vibe to it, and the tattooed bartender chatted with the patrons in a friendly fashion, making sure everyone had what they needed. It seemed like the perfect first date spot. Every time a girl walked in, my heart would jump, expecting it to be Megan. One of our mutual friends had texted me a picture of her and said that she was beautiful, out of my league, and that made me even more nervous. What was wrong with her? Why was she going out on blind dates? Why didn't she have a boyfriend? I pushed these thoughts away, irritated that my mind was already trying to talk itself out of the situation. She was probably lovely and had just gone through a slew of horrible men and wanted to try something different, something fresh. About 10 minutes later, she walked in and my heart skipped a beat when I saw her. She was just as beautiful as the picture I had seen. Flowing brown hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could knock you dead. I waved her over, and then our eyes met and she lit up. My stomach did a flip as she slid onto the bar stool next to me and introductions were officially made. I ordered her a drink. Our conversation flowed into each other's lives, poking and prodding with genuine intrigue about who we were when we did what. She was a college student about to start her last year of school. I had graduated the year before, so she drilled me for tips on writing her thesis. She was fun, and I liked how she was always having a smile on her face. Talking to her was easy, and the longer I sat there, the more comfortable I became. Soon, the preliminary questions faded away and we began to just shoot the shit. It was easy, wonderfully easy, and I found myself absorbed by her. The drinks kept coming, and I soon found myself enjoying a nice buzz. I made sure I didn't say anything stupid, the alcohol pushing me to try my luck with her sexually. I resisted for as long as I could, but eventually I caved and began to flirt. To my surprise, she flirted back with enthusiasm. I had my hand on her thigh and a big grin on my face when it happened for the first time. Beep. Megan looked at me, a slightly tipsy grin on her face. Was that your watch? She asked, nodding towards my wrist. I blinked my buzz away and held my watch up to my face. Well, that kid hadn't been lying about the alarm. I began fumbling for a button, some way to turn it off, before it beeped again. I wasn't even thinking about the kid's warning. I just wanted to stop the annoying interruption. Beep. Am I keeping you from something? Megan asked as the watch blared out another note. My fingers finally found the small button on the side and I pushed it. Shaking my head, I said, I'm sorry about that. I just bought this thing. I guess someone programmed an alarm on it before me. I really like it, Megan said, reaching out and taking my wrist. It's a very handsome watch. Makes you look smart. I was enjoying the way her hands felt on my skin, and I felt my heart began to race as her fingers traced my wrist along the band. Our eyes met, and I saw lust behind her shining blues. I swallowed hard. Did she want me to take her home? It's getting late, she said coyly, turning my wrist in her hands to check the time. You want to get out of here? Yeah, absolutely, I stammered, scrambling to remember how long ago I had purchased the condom in my wallet. Any ideas where you want to go? Megan asked, still smiling. Well, I said, mind avalanching. My apartment is trashed right now. I died a little inside as the honesty poured from my lips like vomit. She chuckled. That's okay. I'm staying with my parents over summer break, and they've gone for the weekend, so we can go to my place if you want. We have a pool. She said. This last part was like kind of a wink. I couldn't believe my luck. Did that mean she wanted to go skinny dipping? That sounds great, I said, reaching into my back pocket for my wallet. I cashed us out and we left the bar. She told me her parents' place wasn't far, about 10 minutes outside of town, out in the country hills. She said that I could follow her in my car, so we parted ways momentarily. I climbed into my vehicle and let out a soft cry of victory. I couldn't believe this was happening. Who would have known things would go so well? As I followed her car out of the parking lot, I forced myself to calm down. I wasn't going to get laid if I was a nervous wreck. I had to play it cool. I had to act like it was, like it was whatever. You're such a fucking dildo, I muttered to myself, but smiled at the same time. I couldn't remember the last time I had gotten laid, and so easily to boot. And never with such a high-caliber girl such as Megan. I thought back on who the last girl I slept with was and what she looked like. It slowly dawned on me that I had immediately shut her face out of my mind. You had way too much to drink that night, I said out loud, shuddering. The streets were dark in the late hour, and as soon as I left the town behind me, my eyes trained on Megan's tail lights. I rolled down the window, letting the warm summer air fill the car with electrifying possibility. I was in such a damn good mood. The full moon hung fat and yellow in the sky. I made a gun with my fingers and shot an imaginary bullet at the wind whipped through my hair. I felt pretty cool. Beep. Again? I thought, immediately annoyed by the noise. How often does this thing go off? No wonder that kid had been so eager to get rid of it. I fumbled in the dark interior of my car, keeping one eye on the road as I felt the off button. I searched for the slight incline along the side of the watch, and when my fingers made contact, I pushed it. I waited for another beep, but none followed. Not long after, I was pulling up behind Megan, a fairly large house looming before us. I stopped the car in the driveway and got out, appraising our new home. The home was big, maybe 5 bedrooms, and the yard looked well kept. Everything about it boosted money. I was on a spacious plot of land, rolling green hills around the sides, and I heard a gentle sway of the heavy woods from the back. Not bad, I stated, walking to Megan, who was just getting out of her car. My dad makes pretty good money, she said, smiling. She suddenly took my hand and pulled me along with her. I didn't resist. We ran around the back side of the house towards the pool. It was surrounded by a white fence, and Megan pulled the gate open to let us in. The water glistened in the moonlight, and I felt a shiver of excitement run through me despite the warm air. Megan went to the white plastic chairs that lined the side of the pool and sat down, kicking off her heels and reaching behind her to pull her shirt off. She saw me watching and grinned. Turn around and don't look until you hear a splash. I complied, licking my lips in anticipation. This was like a dream come true. I heard her undress, and then a loud splash followed shortly after. I turned back around as her head poked the surface. The house was dark, emitting no light, but I could still see her smiling at me through the moonlight. I kicked my shoes off and pulled my shirt over my head. She watched me, waiting in the middle of the pool, eyes alight. I took my pants off and carefully undid my watch and placed it on my pants. Even with my boxers on, I felt exposed. Behind the fence, the thick woods danced in the warm breeze, as if to laugh at me. "Well, come on in," Megan invited. I didn't hesitate and took a running leap into the waiting water. My breath was robbed from my lungs as the cool water enveloped me. I sputtered to the surface, gasping and wiping my eyes. Megan laughed at my obvious shock and dove underwater. I followed her lead, enjoying where this was headed. We splashed around for a little while, chasing each other and laughing. I commented on how good she looked in the moonlight as she swam closer, her glistening skin an absolute wonder. I swallowed hard as she stopped in front of me and wrapped her arms around my neck. "I think I like you," she said softly, smiling. I didn't hesitate. I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her into me. I kissed her, letting the moment last, the water quietly lapping around us. It was perfect, the full moon, the dead silence, the isolation, and the sexually charged energy. Everything. Beep. I ignored my watch, the alarm barely registering my mind. I pressed Megan against the side of the pool, both of us lost in each other. Beep. Megan reached underwater and began to grope me, her hands working around my boxers. I let out a sigh and felt myself surge with desire. Beep. Megan had wrapped her legs around me and walked us towards the middle of the pool stairs, desperate to get her up on a dry land so I could further our course of action. Our eyes met, and I could see that she wanted it as much as I did. I pulled her from the water, both of our bodies rising in a rush of sound, not sand. Inside, Megan said breathlessly, "Come on." I didn't argue, my sex drive roaring with the intensity of a locomotive. We went back to her back door, and she placed her hand on the knob. A noise echoed throughout the night, stopping us in our tracks. It was a loud gong of a clock, and it came from the woods. We both looked at each other, the eeriness of it momentarily stalling our intentions. "What was that?" I asked, my view of the woods blocked by the pool's white fence. She looked back at me, and I saw she was just as confused. It sounded like an old grandfather clock, right? What the hell? I cocked my head at her. "Is there a house in the woods? Because that's where it sounded like it came from." "No," she said, shaking her head. "There's nothing out there." She looked like she was about to say something when the sound repeated, this time much louder. Hold on. Gong. "What in the world?" I muttered, jumping at the noise. It had sounded like it was at the edge of the woods behind the fence. The kid's warning suddenly rushed back to me. Don't let it beep 3 times. It was ridiculous, though.
What did he say would happen? The TikTok man would come? Whatever that meant. Besides, that's just some dumb story he just made up. It was just a watch. It doesn't hold any power. It couldn't summon some weird figment of my imagination. This is kind of freaking me out, Megan said, huddling next to me, her shivering body dripping wet. She wasn't naked, but she might as well have been. Seeing her out of the water urged me to deal with whatever this distraction was so we could get on with it. Let me go around and take a look, I said, taking her by the shoulders. There's nothing to be afraid of. I felt a little uneasy, but I thought it showed her how brave I was and get us back on track. Megan nodded, and I went to the gate. I pushed it open and looked towards the tree line which began at the edge of the fence. I thought I heard something making its way closer, walking along the length of the fence towards the corner in front of me. I trained my ears and felt my heart begin to thunder in my chest. There was definitely something coming, the snap of branches and foliage underfoot, announcing the arrival of whatever it was. And then there was another sound I was picking up as well. It sounded like the ticking of clocks, dozens of clocks, their passage of time all mixing together to create a consistent jumble of tick-tock, tick-tock. What the fuck? I muttered, trying to calm myself. The noise grew closer and closer. And then something walked around the corner of the fence towards me. I felt a scream rise in my throat as my eyes tried to make sense of what I was seeing. My breath drained from my lungs as the air from a tire. My legs turned to liquid, and yet my knees locked in place, cementing me where I stood, frozen in horror. It was about 7 feet tall, its black skin absorbing the moonlight around it. Its body looked human, but twisted over and bent over, its movements coming in short jerks of twitching muscle. It walked on 2 legs like a person, but its feet were solid slabs of coned black meat. Its chest and its shoulders were embedded with glowing red circles of different sizes. As I stared, I realized that the orbs were clock faces, all burned into his tormented flesh and slowly ticking. The source of noise made was clear now. Its head was bloated and mangled, its mouth hanging limply open. Its jaw swaying as it walked, held onto the face by cords of a thin gold chain. It had no eyes, but instead, a giant clock face filled the top half of its head with black infected skin growing around it. It glowed red in the center and faded to black, just like my watch. The hands on the clock were in a constant twirl of chaos, spinning with no disconcertible meaning. And rising out of its back, in a mass of wood and flesh, was the top half of an old grandfather clock. It jutted from the creature's torn flesh, rising from its body 3 feet high. The weight of it pushed down on the monster, causing it to hunch over slightly. Its movement slowed. The grandfather clock was made of charred wood, tiny spires rising from its peak. The face was colored, like my watch was as well, but the hands held steady at midnight, a smaller third hand ticking away at the seconds. I slowly backed away from the creature, never taking my eyes from it. It was about 27 feet from me and slowly advancing. I felt a tickle of sweat run down my spine as my mind tried to make sense of the impossible figure before me. I kept expecting to blink and have it vanish, but it just kept walking towards me. Its face was trained in my direction, the large clock hands spinning madly. Its jaw swung limply from the gold chains. The blast of sparkling color, a sharp contrast to the black of its skin. The creature emitted a noise, a low growl, like the turning of gears in heavy machinery. I had never heard anything like it before, and it chilled my bones right to the marrow. It flexed its long, sharp fingers at me, the ends coming to needle-like points as it came closer. I sensed that this entity intended me harm, that it was coming to kill me. The constant tick-tocking from its body filled the night air
and seemed to count down the seconds I had to live. I suddenly snapped from my trance-like state, the danger of my situation igniting me into action. I turned and ran. Slowly the gate opened, and sprinting towards Megan, who waited for me by the back door. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, turning my blood to fire. Megan sensed the panic as I charged her, and her eyes went wide with fear. Questions began to blossom from her lips, but I cut her off in the hurry. "Inside, now!" I yelled, skidding to a halt and throwing a look over my shoulder. The open gate showed nothing but a slice of night, but I could hear the thing ticking its way closer. "What's wrong? What is it?" Megan cried as she fumbled with the door. I didn't realize as she turned the knob, I pushed us both in. I quickly slammed the door behind us and locked it, turning to look out of the small square window in the center of the door. I cocked my head so that I could see it, and my breath froze in my lungs. It was staring right at me, its body filling the gateway. It was slowly moving its fingers as if thinking, the clock in its face glowing red. I ducked down and slid to the floor, placing a hand over my beating heart. I sat with my back to the wood as Megan stood over me and peeked out the window. Her reaction was similar to mine, a sharp gasp of horrified confusion, and then she was sitting next to me, clutching me, asking me what that was. I didn't have an answer for her, so I remained silent, begging my mind to kick into gear. I needed to do something. I didn't know what this thing was or where it had come from, but I knew it wanted to kill us. I sat there stupidly, soaking wet in my boxers as Megan's desperate pleas washed over me in a numb wave. I didn't know what she wanted me to do, what she expected me to do. After a few minutes of sitting in the dark, Megan slowly took another look from the window. "It's gone," she announced breathlessly. "It's gone." For some reason, her words didn't comfort me. She might not have been able to see it, but it surely wasn't gone. Why didn't she listen to that kid, I thought. Why didn't she just turn off the stupid alarm? I knew in retrospect that it had been easy to blame myself, but realistically, why should I have believed the kid's warning? We don't prepare for the impossible because it's just that impossible. I slowly stood, the house silent. I looked around in the dim darkness. I could see we were in the basement. At the far end of the room, a staircase led up to a closed door. I turned and took a quick look through the basement window and saw nothing but calm night. "We need to get out of here," Megan whispered urgently. I know, I said, running my fingers through her hair. "Just let me think." My thoughts were cut short as a loud noise exploded upstairs before us. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. "Did it just kick in the front door?" Megan's eyes were wide and I felt her grip my arm. Suddenly, the basement erupted in a violent blast of splinters, the wood fragments rocketing downstairs towards us. Megan let out a scream as a TikTok man filled the dark doorway. The clocks that were fused into its skin gave off a soft red glow, washing his skin with a haunting color. The grandfather clock on its back was too tall for him to fit through the stairway, and so it slowly got on its hands and knees and began to crawl down towards us. Megan was clawing at me, screaming at me, but I just stood and watched in horror as it slid down the stairs, the basement filling with the sound of a dozen ticking clocks. It reached the end of the stairs and stood back up, not 10 feet from us. My heart was a block of ice in my chest and my legs felt sluggish and heavy as I begged them to move. Air hissed between my dry lips and my throat burned with an effort to breathe. As the tick-tock man stood, I noticed the time on the grandfather clock had advanced. Instead of midnight, the hands read 12:15. I didn't know if it meant anything, and my brain was too scrambled to try. "Get away from us," Megan was screaming. She turned and grabbed the door behind us, fumbling in the dark, trying to unlock it. As I heard the click of her successful attempts, the monster before us moved. I expected it to rush us, but instead, it gripped its own throat and pushed its head back. The clock hands on its body began to spin faster, and the red color in the center of each of them began to glow brighter. Suddenly, noise erupted from its mouth, a deafening blast of sound. Gong, 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 gong. I slammed my hands over my ears and saw Megan do the same, the volume of its chimes aching in my ears. I felt like my head was going to split, and I squeezed my eyes shut against the blasts. I felt myself growing weak, the black behind my eyelids swimming in and out of focus. Something was happening to me. The gonging kept going until each note followed quickly by another, the offensively loud crackling my skull open and rattling my brain. I felt like my head would pop, unable to take the shock waves of the pain with each toll. And then suddenly, it stopped. My head rocked with agony, and I clutched my temples, eyes still shut. I felt the world shimmer and then refocus around me. Slowly, I reopened my eyes. Something was wrong. The proportions of everything was off, the furniture and the ceiling looming overhead. I felt dizzy, and I stumbled as I took in this contorted reality. No, it wasn't reality that had shifted. It was me. I looked down at my body, and I felt panic roar in my chest like a screaming inferno. I was young. I looked at my hands and little legs, testing my weight in a hurried attempt to acquaint myself with this new horror. I couldn't be more than 2 years old. But my mind remained the same. I was trapped in a younger version of myself, and I opened my mouth to speak. Nothing but choked, gurgling sounds came out. It was like the words became garbled as they rose in my throat, distorted by my inexperience of youth. I turned my head and saw Megan had suffered the same fate. Big tears rolled down her face as she stared at me in absolute disbelief. We were toddlers, shrunk back down as our years were taken back from us. Broken syllables and sounds poured from her mouth as she tried to speak to me, but I couldn't understand any of it. We were trapped inside younger versions of ourselves, our minds held captive in underdeveloped bodies. Suddenly, the TikTok man was towering above us. He looked terrifyingly huge from where I stood, my neck craning to take in his looming form. Megan screamed, her voice a high-pitched wail, and she scrambled to get away. She stumbled and fell, unaccustomed to the way her body worked. She struggled to pull herself upright, and I saw her arms quivering with effort. And then it hit me just how defenseless we were right now. The danger's suddenly horrifyingly real. I took off in the opposite direction, away from Megan, away from the monster. My little feet took me across the room, towards the couch where I had ducked and hid. My muscles already ached from the effort. I sucked in big breaths, trying to fill my lungs with oxygen. I couldn't believe how weak I was, how easily I tired. I heard Megan screaming, and I got down on all fours and crawled under the couch. I peeked through the skirt of the other side and saw the TikTok man bending down to pick Megan up. He clutched her in one hand, his long, sharp fingers wrapping around her head, and lifted her squirming body from the floor. In one quick motion, he twisted her head and pulled it from her shoulders with a sick popping sound. Blood splashed to the ground, and Megan's cries were cut short as she was forcefully decapitated. I felt bile charge up in my throat, the horrific scene shaming into my senses, and I vomited on the floor. The creature turned my way, and I noticed that the hands on the grandfather clock now read 12:30. I hurriedly scooted backwards, hiding myself under the couch's skirt. I held my breath, eyes squeezed shut as tears leaked from them. I rubbed my chubby hand against my nose, wiping away snot, begging to turn invisible. Suddenly, the couch flew off of me, tossed aside by the enormous monster. I screamed. my underdeveloped vocal cords vibrating in a high shriek. I scrambled to get away, but my sluggish muscles wouldn't react fast enough. I saw it swing its long, sharp hand at me, and I ducked, desperately trying to avoid the same fate as Megan. I wasn't fast enough, and I took the impact across the shoulders. Pain splintered through my body, and I went airborne, soaring through the room into the window. I crashed through it and went tumbling into the night air, landing hard in the pool area, the rough cement unforgiving on my skin. I came to stop by the pool's edge and lay gasping, my breath beaten out of me. Everything hurt. Jolts of sharp pain coursed along the left side of my small body. My legs and knees were bleeding, leaving red streaks on my vulnerable flesh. I blinked back darkness, forcing myself to keep my eyes open. I knew that if I closed them, I would never open them again. In a daze, I saw the TikTok man climb through the shattered remains of the window, ducking down to allow the grandfather clock access to the outside. It read 12:45. That can't be right, I thought numbly. The hands were moving too fast. And then another thought drifted up from my scattered mind. Maybe time is different where it comes from. I forced myself to get up, my body screaming in protest. I realized that I was crying, my cheeks wet with tears. Move, I told myself. You have to move or you're dead. Crying out, I hobbled towards the open gate in a last-ditch effort to get away from the murderous monster. It had pulled itself completely from the window when it spotted me. Pathetically limping towards the open gate, I took the look of utter terror on my face. I wasn't moving fast enough. He's going to rip your head off, I thought, tears flowing from my eyes. You have to do something. I suddenly turned around, hearing the creature close behind me. My body in shambles, I dashed to where I left my clothes, my shoulders screaming in protest. My legs felt like they were on fire. Every time I exhaled, blood and drool flew from my lips. I reached the chair. I left my clothes and snatched the watch where it left it. I turned around, holding it in front of me like a shield. The TikTok man froze, mere feet from me, the sight of the watch freezing in its tracks. I had no plan, I had no hope, just a prayer and a dying wish. We stood staring at each other, neither one of us moving. For some reason, the sight of the watch kept it frozen in place. The black stone it was made from felt hot in my hands as I gripped it tighter. I didn't know what kind of power it had over this entity, but I slowly backed up, keeping the watch held out in front of me. I never took my eyes from it, circling around the pool, waiting for the creature to suddenly lurch into my motion. But it remained where it stood, slowly turning to watch me as it came around the far side and slowly made my way to the gate. I could hear a mechanical growl coming from deep in its chest, a roaring anger, a deep hunger. I got to the gate and glanced out, my eyes going to the tree line. I had to try and make it. It was my only hope. I turned and ran, going as fast as my broken body could take me. As soon as the watch broke contact with the monster, I heard it howl. The sound echoing in the night like clanging chimes. I knew it wouldn't be far behind me, and I begged my clumsy body to move faster, trying my best to ignore the agony it was in. My bare feet shuffled through the grass, the tree line seemingly impossibly far away. A breeze rustled through the treetops, and I heard the TikTok man explode through the fence behind me. The earth vibrated under my feet as I felt it take long strides towards me, but I dared not look back. Suddenly, I fell, my body simply giving up. I crashed into the ground with a cry, the watch flying from my hands. I hit the dirt with a grunt, and a new wave of pain gripped me. I grit my teeth. I had begun to crawl towards the trees, my tiny fists grabbing handfuls of dewy grass. I knew I was dead. Suddenly, I felt a strong hand grip my ankle, and I was lifted into the air. I dangled upside down, screaming, as the TikTok man pulled me up. Its form was a hideous up close, its skin reeking and giving off a nauseating heat. I battered at it with powerless fists, yelling, howling. It gripped my head with its other hand, and I was flipped upright, dangling from its grip in a helpless heap. This was it. It growled with pleasure, rumbling and turning gears. I waited for it to end. I closed my eyes. Gong. I snapped my eyes open, and suddenly, and the sudden sound, unexpected and deafening, I blinked my eyes and saw the grandfather clock had just struck 1 o'clock. Suddenly, the TikTok man went into a rage, thrashing its arms about, its dozens of clock faces exploding in red color. The hand spun at an increased speed, and I was tossed to the ground. I landed in the grass, wincing and letting out another cry as I came to stop. I turned my head and saw another impossibility. Gold chains snaked out of the grandfather clock like the coils of 100 snakes. They moved on their own accord, sliding around the TikTok man's flesh, wrapping themselves in tight knots, binding him. The monster screamed in rage, furious it had been mere seconds away from killing me. The chains continued to snake out from its back, covering its body in layers and layers of dense gold. In a matter of seconds, the creature was completely enveloped by its bindings, and I watched in horrific fascination as the cluster of gold began to shrink. I expected flesh and blood to come squirting out of the chains, but they remained spotless and shining in the moonlight. The howls from the monster never ceased as the chains seemed to shrink in on themselves, the mass growing smaller and smaller until finally the nightmare simply winked out of existence. I lay there in the grass, my breath coming in burning gulps, unable to believe what I'd just witnessed. My body pulsed in my ears, and my heartbeat was a desperate drum beat. I closed my eyes and let the darkness take me. It's been 5 years since now. I survived that bloody night, though. I don't know how. My body was a mangled mess, and I had to do intense rehab ever since. In a stroke of pure blessing, Megan's parents came home early from out of town. When they saw the broken glass and the blood, they called the police, and then they found the headless body of their daughter, reduced unexplainably back to her early years. I wasn't conscious for any of this. The police found me laying in the grass when they arrived. I was rushed to the hospital, and by some miracle I survived. Then I woke up. When I woke up in the hospital, I rubbed my eyes, and I felt something heavy on my wrist. The watch. Somehow, I was wearing the fucking watch. You see, I can't get rid of it. No matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, when I fall asleep, I wake up wearing it again. I've tried smashing it, burying it, burning it, and nothing works. It always returns, looking brand new. I've thought back to when I bought it, from that kid. And I wonder if the only way is to pass this curse off of me is to sell it to another unlucky soul. I've thought about it. Oh, I have thought about it. But no matter how much I hate this, how much this monstrous thing has destroyed my life, it is, in fact, my burden to bear. I can't pass this off to someone else. I can't give them the horror I know will come. Because, you see, the alarm still goes off. It's random, completely unpredictable. Sometimes months will pass and it'll remain silent. Other times it'll go off 3 times in one day. There's no pattern or reason for it. It's a monster of its own markings. I fear going to sleep, afraid that if it goes off in the middle of the night I won't hear it. I'm afraid of the TikTok man, and I'm afraid he will come back and finish the job, summoned by the watch on the 3rd chime. So now it's a part of me, this goddamn watch. I've learned to live with it as best as I can, but the fear won't go away. I don't think it ever will. Because I know that one day I won't turn off the alarm in time. I know what's going to come back for me. And I have a lot of years ahead of me. I'm 7 years old now. I'm 7 years old again. I live in a foster home, a quiet outcast who just wants to be left alone. The family I'm here with are good people, but they don't understand the weird things I say sometimes. And how could they? I'm a 28-year-old trapped in a 7-year-old body. And let me tell you, living through life again is not something I would wish upon anyone. Life is full of monsters, waiting to rip you apart over and over and over again. And that was the TikTok man. That was also my last story, because it's like super late. It's like gonna be 3 o'clock. My voice is starting to feel very raspy. I need to stop drinking this stupid Red Bull. Did I put everybody to sleep? Thank y'all. Thank you. I feel like it's so like scratchy. It like goes out on its own. Especially like when I talk a lot. I don't normally talk a lot, so it's kind of weird. Like when you're like, you notice that you haven't spoken at all like in a day, and you're like, oh crap, I haven't said anything out loud. But okay, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for everybody who lurked and hung out and all of that. Thank you for the dono, Kathleen, if you're still here. I don't know if you're still here. Love you. Join the Discord. Let me see. I usually do them when I stream. Start out with like scary games, and then I don't want it to expire. It is Discord, so you can join us. Good night, everybody. I love you all. Sweet dreams. Thanks for hanging out. I may stream tomorrow, I don't know. But if I do, we'll probably be doing more of this. But, okay. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, possibly. Don't forget, join the Discord. We chit-chat all day. Also, we'll probably be doing movie nights in the Discord. That's the plan anyway. That's Marble. I don't know if you see him. No? Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you later. I love you. Bye.